life of Joe Garagiola. The ceremony will begin in just a matter of moments down on the field. You'll see every single minute of it before Game 1 of the series between the New York Yankees and the Arizona Diamondbacks. That patch for sale tonight, helping raise money for the Indian Mission. But Joe Borowski, a quick story, if I could, before we get to the field. Talked to Tony Kubek, his longtime broadcaster, fellow Hall of Famer. I cut my teeth on baseball watching those guys on the Game of the Week. He used to say this about Joe. Before every big game, he'd go down in the television truck because he knew the tensions were high. And the first thing he wanted to do was to make a joke to relax everybody. He had that way. So I hope you're ready for this, Joe Borowski. This should be a fascinating half an hour as we celebrate the life and times of the one and only Joe Garagiola. Now to Arizona Diamondbacks public address announcer, Chuck Drago.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Chase Field and our pregame ceremony celebrating Joe Garagiola. While Joe has left us, his influence on Major League Baseball, the Arizona Diamondbacks, and the Arizona community will live on forever. Now, please turn your attention to DBTV.
I've said it before because it's true. He was the soundtrack of many generations of us, for us. It would be easy to say and write that the story is now complete, but it isn't, because a good story lasts forever, and nobody told a better story than Joe Garagiola.
This is 5446. This is where I live. Right across the street is 5447. That's where Mr. Berra lived.
And what a wealth of resources he had to draw from. Who else has dined with presidents, befriended astronauts and cartoonists, had audiences with the Pope, Mother Teresa, the Beatles, and oh yeah, worked the Westminster Dog Show on the side. And that's not even page 1 of his Hall of Fame baseball resume or his Today Show Rolodex. Joe was larger than life because he loved life. That was evident in every step he took and every hand he shook, be it at the ballpark, a celebrity roast.
This guy tried to hit the ground with the ball, threw it and missed.
There is no singular definition of Joe Garagiola, but I bet he wouldn't mind if you spent some time these next few days or weeks possibly donating what you could to the baseball assistance team or the St. Peter Indian Mission. Both are on the map of our public conscience because of Joe. That's just part of his legacy. For a certain generation of us, he delivered Major League Baseball to us on the best day of the week, summer Saturday afternoons, then Monday nights, and of course the Fall Classic. It was appointment television before we were told that it was. You might remember some of the iconic moments, but they were just subtext to the stories that he would tell, and they live on. You drop a yogiism on somebody at the water cooler or Facebook, well, that's probably something you or your dad said that he once heard on a hot summer July day while watching the game of the week in the living room. And how lucky were we here in Arizona to have had Joe literally at the very dawn of this city's major league existence. From a grassroots stadium campaign, to a shovel in the dirt, to the broadcast booth, then his broadcast booth, and a handful of unforgettable ceremonial first pitches along the way.
Joe waving in tribute to this crowd. Now they stand.
He became the first face of baseball in the desert, and it's not surprising or an accident that his son helped craft the foundation of the first ever World Series champs here. What a man, what a life, what a journey. He shared it with all of us in so many ways.
I love all of you. Greatest fans going.
And he did it with humility and humor and a glistening bald head that was just another foil to launch another story to last us a lifetime. He's gone from us in the flesh, but as long as you remember, as long as you can hear him, he lives on. A great story lives forever. And Joe would never admit it in a million years, but he's a great story too. From the hill to the hall and all points in between. So thanks, Joe, for sharing it and you with us, so we could enjoy the ride as well. And boy, did we. Godspeed to you, Joe Garagiola. We'll take the rest from here.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we ask that you please turn your attention to the field and welcome our master of ceremonies this evening, the voice of the Arizona Diamondbacks on radio since day one, Greg Schulte.
Thank you, Chuck. Welcome, everybody. This is a celebration tonight. And in just watching the Garagiola family visit with the media, they're all smiles. We're here to put a smile on your face as we welcome you to Joe Garagiola's celebration of life. Joe loved his family. With us tonight, his wife of 66 years, Audrey, sons Joe Jr., Steve, Gina, by the way, 8 grandchildren. Joe loved his friends. As we saw, he loved life. He loved baseball. He loved to make us laugh. And he was absolutely terrific at all of those. He was born in St. Louis, Missouri in 1926. And as he said time and time again, he wasn't even the best player on his block, Elizabeth Street. That honor belonged to Lawrence Peter, Yogi Berra, his lifelong friend. Joe always poked fun at his baseball abilities, but he was better than he led you to believe. In fact, he was good enough to warrant a contract from the hometown team St. Louis Cardinals. And in May of 1946, at the age of 20, Joe made his major league debut. He went 1 for 4 as a catcher that day for the St. Louis Cardinals. That same year, 1946, the Cardinals went to the World Series. They faced the Boston Red Sox. He played in 5 of the 7 games. He hit .316. He drove in 4 runs as the Cardinals beat the Boston Red Sox 4-3. His storytelling endeared Joe with all of us, all baseball fans. After his 9-year baseball career ended, he was hired to work Cardinals games on KMOX radio in St. Louis. And in 1961, Joe started working national radio broadcasts while still working with the Cardinals. He began a 3-year run on Yankees TV in 1965. NBC TV eventually hired him for the Game of the Week, and the rest is history. Joe worked World Series, he worked All-Star games, he worked with Vince Scully, he worked with Kurt Gowdy, he worked with Tony Kubek. His celebrity status and fun, easygoing way led to work outside of baseball. Joe co-hosted The Today Show with Hugh Downs and Barbara Walters. He served as Johnny Carson's backup on The Tonight Show, and in fact ended up interviewing Beatles John Lennon and Paul McCartney. He also emceed game shows, including To Tell the Truth. And as we saw in the video, he was a perfect option for hosting the Westminster Dog Show. His work, however, did not stop there. He wanted to help those who struggled. So he founded BAT, the Baseball Assistance Team, an organization that assists former players who had met misfortune. And he campaigned vigorously and was passionately against the use of smokeless tobacco. I always thought Joe thought he never did enough to get the word out about smokeless tobacco. That was not true. His relentless work had a big impact. Joe's a big reason we have baseball here in Arizona, here in Phoenix. He pushed hard to get a Major League Baseball team. And when the Diamondbacks became a National League team finally in 1998, Joe became a part of our broadcast team, working hundreds of games over the years until his retirement in 2013. And upon his retirement, he had worked 58 years in broadcasting. There are 2 personal items I received from Joe over the years that I'll always treasure. Number 1, a baseball signed by Joe and his good friend Yogi Berra. And the second, during our 1998 expansion season, I asked Joe to mentor me. He said he'd be delighted to. When we came home off of a road trip, Joe came into the broadcast booth. I was filling out my lineup in the scorebook. And he came in, he said, "Greg, you sounded great. Really like the enthusiasm, but," the dreaded but. Well, he reached into his pocket and he pulled out this 1-minute timer. He plopped it on my scorebook. He said, when the red sand runs out after a minute, simply turn it over, but give the score each time the sand runs out. Well, 19 years later, I still have the little timer that Joe gave me. He asked me if I would, and I promised him I would. I would pass it along someday to someone else starting out in baseball. The Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown has opened its door to Joe Garagiola not once but twice. Joe received MLB's Ford C. Frick Award in excellence for broadcasting back in 1991. And then 23 years later, 2014, Joe was honored by being named the third recipient of the Buck O'Neil Lifetime Achievement Award. He was a friend to all of us, a great ambassador for baseball, and tonight we're proud to pay tribute to Joe Garagiola. We have some great speakers lined up for us here tonight, but there are some who could not be here but wanted to pay tribute to Joe. So at this time, please turn your attention to the DBTV video board.
Everyone in baseball knew Joe Garagiola. He was a great broadcaster, but he was also a good man. You felt like you were his friend, and he was kind to everyone. That didn't just come across on the air. It came across in person off the air. When I was a young broadcaster breaking in, I was nobody. He treated me like I was somebody. He was always a friend. He was always supportive. He was always caring. I don't think I was alone in that experience. I think that was true of just about everybody who crossed Joe Garagiola's path.
If you grew up in St. Louis, Missouri like I did, you knew who Joe Garagiola was. You also knew who Yogi Berra was. One of Joe's great lines was, not only was he not the best catcher in the major leagues, he wasn't even the best catcher on his street. And while Joe Garagiola didn't have a Hall of Fame playing career, he went on to have a remarkable career as a Major League Baseball broadcaster. He got to start with my grandfather and Jack Buck in the mid-1950s, forming what could be the greatest broadcasting booth in the history of our game.
People like to say, well, he was one of the greatest baseball broadcasters in the history of the sport. There's no doubt about that. But he's just, period, one of the best broadcasters ever, and a great player. That's the thing that, you know, when they say, oh, Joe Garagiola used to like to stretch the truth, maybe the only time he really did it was when he would diminish how good of a player he actually was as a 20-year-old catcher running a pitching staff on a championship team in 1946.
The one thing I think about Joe that everybody realizes was that his humor was dispensed with such warmth.
I'm 84 years old. I can't run. When I was playing and I could run, I used to tell the first baseman, hold me on like the other guys. I can't steal, but it looks good, you know.
He was a great man. The people loved him, and I loved him.
One of the things we had a lot of fun about was he'd go down on the field. It might be July or August, really hot. I'd stay in the press room and make all my notes together, and then we'd be ready to go on the air. Joe looked like his truck broke down on the way to the ballpark, and of course, being in the air-conditioned press room, I was, let's say, in pretty good shape. And Joe would come in and mutter about, look at you, you're all sweaty, and here I am, blah, 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 and we had a lot of fun. So here I am talking about him, and unfortunately, he's not with us, but let me tell you, 6 years, a priceless experience with Joe Garagiola. So I will miss Joe. He did have his game, however. He was 90 innings or 90 years, leaving laughter in his trail. May he rest in peace. But somewhere I know he is laughing and complaining that he's sweaty and the rest of us are all cleanly shaven and the tie right up to the knot.
At this time, I want to introduce to you the Diamondbacks President, Chief Executive Officer, Derek Hall.
Thank you, Greg. And everyone knows, you saw it on the video earlier, near and dear to Joe's heart was the St. Peter Indian Mission. And I do want to point out that his good friends, the nuns, and Sister Martha are here. Sister Martha, if you wouldn't mind standing and waving to the crowd. They are wonderful. And Joe did so much, as much as he could for the mission. And we will continue to carry that torch for him. In fact, all of you today are playing a part in raising money for them by purchasing the Joe patch. Proceeds are going to the mission. So thank all of you for helping out as well, and we will continue to. Joe would help so many, and he was so kind to everyone, and he would make you feel like family. I know it was that way for my family. He treated my family like they were his own from the minute he met them. And he and I had a little expression that we shared with one another, and it was, "You're the best." And I always heard from Joe when times were rough. He would never call me when they were good, and that's the sign of a real friend and mentor. And he would call me and simply say, "Derek, you're the best." And I'd say, "No, Joe, you're the best." And this would go back and forth, and we'd see each other, and I'd say, "Joe, you're the best." "No, man, you're the best." He would write these beautifully perfect penmanship written cards, handwritten cards, and send them to me occasionally. Well, he sent one to my son, who at the time was about 12 years old, during a tough time with the team. And he said, "I want you to go to your dad and tell him I said, you're the best." Now, he was always being nice to me and others with that, but we really meant it with him because he was the best. And he didn't even know that he was the best or how great he was. It was that humility, how humble he was, that made him so special. The biggest point of evidence for me was when we decided to dedicate and name the entire broadcast and media wing after Joe. And we had all of these pictures put up in this very long hallway of Joe in his childhood and throughout his playing career and his post-playing career with the broadcasting career. Wonderful pictures, and it was a long, beautiful hallway. Well, we bring him in to show it to him, and down at the end of the hallway there's a little wall, and that wall has the logo of Joe on it. There's a door next to it. We bring him in. He doesn't see the long hallway. He just sees the Joe logo at the end of the hallway. So Ken Kendrick and myself and our Vice President of Broadcasting, Scott Geyer, bring him in, and he looks up and sees this Joe logo on this little wall, and he takes his glasses off and he starts crying, and he says, "This is beautiful. I don't deserve this." And we said, "No, Joe, you don't. You deserve more. This is all yours." And he went, "You gotta be kidding me." And as Joe walked down that hallway and he looked at every picture, he would laugh, he would tell a story, he would cry at each and every picture. They all meant something to him. There's Ma, there's Audrey, there are the kids, look at Yogi. But it all came back to what was so important to him, and that was a family, that was a neighborhood, and that was his home. Well, now you're home again, Joe. And we're sure you're gathering a big crowd every afternoon to watch you and Yogi play stickball in the street. Have fun. God bless you. And you're the best.
This next gentleman really needs no introduction. He's a Hall of Famer. He is the Chief Baseball Officer for Major League Baseball, Joe Torre.
Thank you. All we needed was one more run over here. No, never mind. But it is indeed an honor to be here this evening to talk about Joe Garagiola. He and my brother Frank were dear friends. They were laying the groundwork for the baseball assistance team. And I think that's where I became close to Joe, was through my brother Frank. He just was such a unique individual. And he would put me on the pregame show. We did a pregame show when he was working NBC Game of the Week, and I was playing for the Mets toward the end of my career. And he always made things easy to do. Didn't work with a script, he just had an idea. And then I had the privilege of being in the same booth with Joe in 1990 when we were doing television for the California Angels. And of course, he was the lead guy. He would do the play-by-play, and I would be the color analyst. And when we got in the booth for the first time, Joe said to me, "I'll tell you what, let's just talk. Don't worry about who's supposed to be the lead guy and who isn't. You and I just talk about baseball." And he was good. And he made me comfortable. He was just a special individual. He did so much for charities because he cared about people. We had not only BAT, where it helps the former baseball people who are struggling, and we gave them financial help, but also the smokeless tobacco. He came around in spring training and would try to make sense to the players about how the smokeless tobacco was bad for your health. And he cared so much. It wasn't that he was delivering a message. He was delivering it through love for the game, love for the person that he was talking to. He was very unique. And the one thing that another dear friend of mine had in common, they just seemed to be born on the same street in St. Louis. Both Yogi and Joe. I know they were both catchers. I know they both played in the big leagues. I know they both played in World Series. But the thing they did better than anything else is they would entertain and educate. You didn't know you were getting taught a lesson until all of a sudden it came to your mind later on about the subject matter he happened to be talking about. You just, when you were in his company, you learned something, and I feel became a better person. And I know that Yogi and Joe are up there scrutinizing what we're doing right now, but their friendship has been reunited because I know how close they were and how dear friends they were to me. It's great being here with the Garagiola family, and I'm proud to be a part of this evening. Thank you very much.
Next, Arizona Diamondbacks Managing General Partner, Ken Kendrick.
Joe was in the business of bringing joy to other people's lives, and he did it as well as anybody who ever walked the earth. He brought joy to the family here. He brought joy to the sisters and the young people that they educate, and he brought joy to millions of baseball fans all across the country. He had a nearly 20-year run with the Diamondbacks. And for me and all of us who are associated with us, his run was remarkable and will never be forgotten. I have so many memories of Joe, I almost don't know where to go with telling Joe stories, but I do have a couple. One occurred right here in front of this home plate. Some years ago, prior to a batting practice, Joe and I were out at the K, and he says, "Ken, do you know anything about catching?" "No, not really, Joe." "Well, you're going to learn right now." So here we are, Ken and Joe, with me squatting down, Joe teaching me all the moves, blocking the plate, which now is not allowed. Blocking pitches. In any event, I was, the whole time we were there, I was thinking, why is he doing this? And I said, Joe, I don't need to learn this. And he said, yes, you do. You're the owner of a baseball team, and you need to know what the catcher does. So I don't think I learned a great deal, but it was a very, very memorable experience. My other indelible memory of Joe was during our run up to the World Series in 2001. We visited St. Louis for in the playoffs, and Joe Sr. and Joe Jr. Took a group of us out to dinner in Joe's Hill District area to a neighborhood Italian restaurant. So we go into this restaurant, a small restaurant. We're in the front of the restaurant in the bar area, and I'm looking around, we're waiting for our table. I'm looking around and I see 3 photos. On the left, Yogi Berra. On the right, Joe Garagiola. In the middle, the Pope. It was a real Hall of Fame moment. Even though Joe has been recognized in Cooperstown, I think that's the real Hall of Fame for an Italian American who grew up in that hills and was a devout Catholic. Joe is a great man. We will miss him. We know he's in a better place, and all of us are in a better place because we knew him.
Our final speaker was the architect of the 2001 world champion Arizona Diamondbacks baseball team. He's general manager. He currently serves as Major League Baseball's senior vice president of standards and on-field operations. And I can just hear him, Joe. Joe, that's a great title, but what the heck's it mean? Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Garagiola Jr.
Thanks, Greg. First of all, on behalf of my mom, my brother Steve, my sister Gina, I want to thank the Diamondbacks and thank all of you for this night and for being here. It's so appropriate that we're here in this building, and the reason for that is my dad had an amazing baseball life. He was in the Polo Grounds the day Willie Mays made his famous catch. He was in Atlanta the night Hank Aaron broke Babe Ruth's record. He was in Fenway Park when Carlton Fisk hit his famous home run. But in 70-plus years of baseball, he always told me the biggest thrill he ever had was right here the night we won the World Series. He and my mom loved coming to the games. They had season tickets, they came all the time. The later years, they sat up in 213 up there. Early on, they would sit right behind home plate, and that's where he loved to sit the most because that's where the scouts were, and his friends like Jim Marshall and Roland, and the stories would flow, and everybody's curveball would get a little sharper, and all the things with the passage of time. But the thing he liked the best from that spot, he could offer constructive suggestions to the umpires on occasion, but more frequently to our catchers. It used to make him crazy, and my mom will attest to this, would make him crazy when our pitcher would get in trouble and the catcher wouldn't go out to talk to him. And so he would tell their catchers to do that frequently, loudly. In fact, one night, the game was over. I was going through the clubhouse, Damian Millard came up to me and said, "Boy, Joe, your dad was really yelling at me tonight." I said, "Well, welcome to my world, Damian. You know, deal with it, man. What can I tell you?" I miss my dad a lot. I know you miss him a lot. But please, don't be sad tonight. Be joyful. Be happy. He lived 90 amazing years, and to use a baseball expression, he did not get cheated out of one at-bat. Not one. So again, thanks to the Diamondbacks, thanks to all of you. God bless you.
Thank you, Joe. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, we ask you to turn your attention to the area above left field. Tonight, the Arizona Diamondbacks will unveil a permanent icon representing Joe Garagiola so that his presence may always be felt here at Chase Field. This emblem will serve as a reminder of Joe's impact on the Arizona Diamondbacks and its fans. Now we would like to introduce tonight's very special ceremonial first pitch guest. First, please welcome Joe's children, Joe Garagiola Jr., Steve Garagiola, and Gina Bridgman. To throw out the first pitches on their behalf, please welcome 3 students from the St. Peter Mission: Naomi Stevens, Adrian Munguia, and Enrique Munoz. And please welcome our ceremonial first pitch catchers: Joe Torre, Diamondbacks broadcaster and former manager Bob Brenly, and the granddaughter of Joe's best friend Yogi, Lindsay Berra. Throw it in, guys. Fastball.
You get the ringer.
Yeah.
Nice. I knew I was in trouble as soon as you start winding up.
That's right. Oh, boy.
You have a high hard one.
He did.
There you go. Nice going.
Ben there was passing right down the line. For a group shot facing this
Nice going.
Waiting for a picture. Okay, here we go. Everybody look right here in the hole. All right, D-backs move out. Move out to the media to get their shot. Bips. Bips.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time we ask that you please rise and remove your hats. Direct your attention to the area behind second base as we pay tribute to our veterans, active duty and retired men and women of our armed services. As a salute to Joe Garagiola's military service, presenting our colors, please welcome the Honor Guard from Davis-Monthan Air Force Base. The Arizona Diamondbacks and New York Yankees invite you to join in the singing of the Star-Spangled Banner, performed by a man that is associated with big games here at Chase Field, having performed the national anthem before Game 7 of the 2001 World Series. Please welcome Dr. Jesse McGuire.
Befitting the man, that was class all the way. As we honor Joe Garagiola here tonight at Chase Field. A couple of final thoughts from Joe Borowski, Todd Walsh here back. And Joe, I'll just say this. This was the circle of life to me for Joe Garagiola. You've got family, friends, peers, those in need like the St. Peter Indian Mission, and the common denominator is baseball. Baseball was his vehicle. It got him up and out of the hill to the major leagues and beyond. And through baseball, he has been able to help people and will continue to do that. So tonight, before we break, we're going to raise some money for the kids at the mission.
Absolutely.
We're going to get a bus.
Absolutely. So many lives touched.
I think we're going to do that with your help, of course. So when we come back, we'll do all that. Plus, well, Joe's first love, really, and that is the game of baseball outside of the family, friends, and peers, and those in need. The great game of baseball. I think it's ironic and fitting, so fitting and appropriate, that it's the Yankees and the Diamondbacks here tonight. And it's next.
And this D-backs Yankees series is presented by Echo Outdoor Power Equipment. Today is 5-16. D-backs record at home 5-16, trying to snap a 5-game losing streak as we begin a 3-game visit from the Bronx Bombers. It's the Diamondbacks and the Yankees on Fox Sports Arizona. Good evening from Chase Field. Welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthume along the way. The opener of a 3-game set, the Diamondbacks and the New York Yankees. My partner Bob Brenly down on the field. A moment ago, BB was participating in the on-field ceremonies, not only to open up this series, but to honor the late, great Joe Garagiola Sr. as we broadcast here at this very moment from the Joe Garagiola broadcast booth here at Chase Field. Joe Torre down on the field, Joe Garagiola Jr. as well. Various dignitaries, Ken Kendrick, the Diamondbacks owner, Derek Hall, president and CEO. As tonight we honor the memory of Joe Garagiola Sr. The Diamondbacks and the Yankees are next on Fox Sports Arizona. Arizona Diamondbacks baseball on Fox Sports Arizona is brought to you by CenturyLink. Switch to CenturyLink Prism TV for an advanced TV experience. Learn more at cprismtv.com. By Jack in the Box. Taste the all-new Double Jack Burger today, only at Jack in the Box. By Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. And by your Valley Honda dealers, where you get more standard features for less money. Baseball on Fox Sports Arizona is brought to you by Chaz Roberts Air Conditioning and Plumbing. Choose Chaz. By Lone Butte Casino. You're in for more winning moments at Lone Butte Casino. By Tire Pros. For the best selection of Continental and General brand tires, visit your local Arizona Tire Pros today. By Cox Gigablast. How will you live the gig life? And this D-backs Yankees series is presented by Echo Outdoor Power Equipment. Just about set to go. Lefty Robbie Ray on the mound for the Diamondbacks. Right-hander Chad Green making his major league debut for the Yankees. The first pitch is next on Fox Sports Arizona. Just in time for Diamondbacks and Yankees baseball on Fox Sports Arizona as the roof and the panels are opening up here at Chase Field. There's my partner with his back to the camera on the right there, Bob Brenly, alongside Joe Torre, as the two managers from the 2001 World Series present the lineup cards with Joe Girardi, the Yankees, and Chip Hale with the Diamondbacks. C.B. Bucknor, Fielden Culbreth, Jim Reynolds, and Nick Lentz down there as well, the umpiring crew, as we honor the late great Joe Garagiola Sr. and recall that 2001 magic moment here at Chase Field when the Diamondbacks were the world champions. There's Joe Torre on the far left there, Bob Brenly on the far right behind Chip Hale. And Bob got to throw out a first pitch along with Joe Torre, and Yogi Berra's granddaughter Lindsay was here as well as part of the pregame ceremony honoring Joe Garagiola as we broadcast this game from the Joe Garagiola Sr. booth here at Chase Field. And that is the patch, the emblem that will forever be planted up there high above left field in honor of Joe, who has meant so much to both baseball and our Arizona Diamondbacks organization. So we're a little behind here tonight, but not too much. Managers going over the ground rules right now, and the Diamondbacks are set to take the field for the opener of this three-game series against the New York Yankees, who come into town 16-20 on the year. They are last in the American League East right now, 7 games behind the Orioles and the Red Sox for the division lead. The lineup for Joe Girardi's Yankees tonight: Jacoby Ellsbury, who does a lot of work in the Valley here in the offseason, giving camps and clinics. He'll lead it off in center field for the Yankees. The former Cub Starlin Castro is in there at second base. Mark Teixeira, who's had a very slow start this year, batting third and playing first. Carlos Beltran, who yesterday became a member of the 400 home run club. Beltran hit his 400th yesterday. He's in right field. Chase Headley, the former Padre, plays third base. Aaron Hicks will be in left. There is no Alex Rodriguez. He's on the DL right now with a hamstring injury. So Hicks, the former Twin, is in left. Didi Gregorius, we all know about Didi. The former Diamondback shortstop is in there batting seventh. And the catcher for the Yankees is Austin Romine. Chad Green on the mound, and he will be making tonight his major league debut for the New York Yankees, just called up this weekend. Your Arizona forward starting pitcher for the Diamondbacks is the left-hander Robbie Ray. Robbie has made 7 starts. He's won once, and that was a month ago, April 19th. And it's been a familiar problem for Robbie as of late. Too many pitches in too few innings. He has pitched past the 5th inning only once in his last 4 starts. He had an encouraging start to the year, very nice spring. But lately he's had his normal problems of walking too many guys and throwing too many pitches. A lot of foul balls. We've seen that certainly before from Robbie, hoping for better things here tonight. Our eye on defense for the D-backs is brought to you by Nationwide Vision Centers. And there he is, the new center fielder for the moment. It's Michael Bourne, called up yesterday. We saw Michael in a pinch hit appearance against the Giants. He is starting in center field and batting second. Yasmani Tomas, Michael Bourne, Brandon Drury, the outfield left to right. Jake Lamb at third. Nick Ahmed back in there at shortstop. Gene Segura, Paul Goldschmidt, and Chris Herman will be behind the plate tonight for Robbie Ray. Bob will be up here in a minute. And we are set to go as Jacoby Ellsbury leads it off. The Yankees and the Diamondbacks, the roof and the panels are open as we open up a 3-game series against the Bronx Bombers. C.B. Bucknor has the plate tonight. He will be calling the balls and strikes. Jacoby Ellsbury in there at 260 and 1 home run. Just missed 7 games with a strained muscle in his right hip before coming back over the weekend. Yankees got a couple of wins against the White Sox, and we are underway with strike 1. Ellsbury has fought through injuries during much of his time with the Yankees. He's got a $153 million contract, and he's had trouble staying on the field consistently. Robbie Ray jumps ahead 0-2. And we have a big crowd here tonight. There's a lot of energy in the ballpark. A tremendous ceremony before our ball game, honoring Joe Garagiola Sr. Diamondbacks put the shift on now as Jake Lamb moves into the second base spot, and Ellsbury with a broken bat hits it right to him. In perfect position, 1 up, 1 down. If you're scoring, that counts as a pop up to the third baseman. Something we'll have to sort out down the road at some point with all these defensive overshifts. Here's the former Cub Starlin Castro, who has settled in as the Yankees second baseman his first season in New York. And he has been probably their most consistent hitter, 286 and 4 home runs. There's a strike. Robbie Ray getting ahead in the count again. It's 0-1. Castro has hit safely in 9 of his last 10 games. Here's a bouncer to second. This time it's Gene Segura over there. 2 up, 2 down for Robbie Ray. That'll bring up the first baseman, Mark Teixeira. Teixeira, the switch hitter, batting from the right-hand side against the lefty Robbie Ray. But he's had a very slow start to the year, batting only .200 with 3 home runs. Two outs on 5 pitches to start for Robbie, and that's another good start. It's a first pitch strike. Everything opened up here on a gorgeous night in downtown Phoenix. Oh, and 2. Mentioned that Carlos Beltran just hit his 400th career home run. Teixeira is only 3 shy of 400 for his career. Beltran is on deck, beat him to the punch. Robbie misses inside, and it's 1-2. And making his way up from the field after what I would say was a tremendous job down there is our very own Bob Brenly. How'd it go? Looked great.
It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Fly ball, center field. Michael Bourne coming in. It drops in front. And Teixeira's got a 2-out single.
I will say this, partner. I think I have a future in scouting.
Why? What?
Well, we had the 3 youngsters to throw out the first pitch, and I eyeballed the 3 of them and decided which one was going to throw me a chest-high softball, and I picked the right guy.
Yeah, he delivered big time.
You're right on the money.
Joe Torre's young man went into a full windup, and that got a little ugly.
Yeah, I think Joe's guy was actually auditioning for a job.
Here's Carlos Beltran now. Great job by everybody down there. We'll have it for you in just a moment. Beltran's hot right now. Chops the first pitch foul. This was the big moment. You're in the middle here, if I recall, right?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, there you are. Lindsey Berry, Yogi's granddaughter, on the left, and Joe Torre on the right. Yeah, whoa. Yeah, you got a beauty.
I told Joe, better you than me.
Get through him a cutter there or something. On the ground, and Nick Ahmed. They go the short way for the force on Teixeira, and Robbie Ray is the scoreless first. Diamondbacks coming up against rookie righty Chad Green. Yankees and Diamondbacks. Your Arizona 4 starting pitcher for the Yankees. It's the major league debut for right-hander Chad Green, who turns 25 years old later this month. Acquired by the Yankees in the offseason in a trade for Detroit pitcher Justin Wilson. Green, an 11th round pick in the draft 3 years ago out of the University of Louisville.
Yeah, we're going to learn about Chad Green on the fly tonight. The Diamondbacks probably have some scouting reports, maybe some video from the minor leagues. One thing we know about Chad Green, he has not allowed a home run over his last 13 minor league starts.
He last pitched a week ago tonight, so he's working on 6 days rest. He pitched for Scranton against Pawtucket last Monday. and was very good. Allowed only 4 hits and 6 scoreless and had 9 strikeouts. About to throw his first pitch in the big leagues. The Diamondback second baseman Gene Segura. It's in there for a strike at 93, 0-1. Segura 331 and 5 homers. Gene Segura hit over 380 during his recent 11-game hitting streak, but since that streak ended over the weekend, he is 0 for 9. Trying to get back on the horse, but he's down 0-2. He did not go. Pucci, Field, and Culbreth down there at first. And he's got a strikeout in his first major league at bat. Chad Green strikes out Gene Segura. 1 down. He'll deal with Michael Bourne. The lineup for Chip Hale's Diamondbacks tonight.
We've seen Gene Segura at the top going down on strikes right there. Michael Bourne getting his first start as a member of the Diamondbacks. He did pinch hit, put down a good sac bunt in the ball game yesterday. Paul Goldschmidt at first. Jake Lamb at third base. Yasmani Tomas out in left field with Brandon Drury in right. Chris Herman behind the plate. Nick Ahmed at shortstop, and Robbie Ray the lefty on the mound.
Here is Michael Bourne, and he takes strike 1. His first start with the Diamondbacks. Signed on May the 10th, released last month by the Braves, and then released just over a week ago by the Blue Jays. Gets this one up in the air, out to Hicks in left field. Aaron Hicks has it, 2 up, 2 down. Our eye on defense for the Bronx Bombers is brought to you by Nationwide Vision Center.
Yeah, we just saw Aaron Hicks in action out there in left field. Jacoby Ellsbury in center field. Carlos Beltran, the veteran, out in right. It'll be Chase Headley and former D-back Didi Gregorius on the left side of the infield, with Starlin Castro and Mark Teixeira on the right side. Austin Romine doing the catching tonight for right-hander Chad Green.
Paul Goldschmidt. Goldie blasts one high and deep and gone. That's number 8, and it's 1-0 Diamondbacks. Well, he was 1 for 14 with a single in 4 games against the Giants. He's got 1 swing against the Yankees, and it's way out of here.
The young right-hander's going to learn some lessons the hard way. You don't throw a middle-in fastball first pitch to Paul Goldschmidt, whether he's swinging the bat well or not. That ball was absolutely clubbed.
Jake Lamb. Deep breaths. A little exhale in the dugout. That is a big-time jumbo jack, way out of here to left. Yankees will not shift, but shade toward the right-hand side for Lamb. Didi Gregorius right behind the second base bag. And it's a ball and a strike. Boy, that was good to see.
Oh, that was really good to see. Just good, solid contact, barreled it up, made that sound that we've grown to love so much.
Sure did. I'm not sure Chad Green loves it so much.
No, no.
Big smiles from Goldie. And now, with a 1-2 count, Gregorius will move to shortstop, and Headley, the third baseman, moves over into a second base shift. They are changing personnel, not batter to batter, but count to count. 260 and 4 homers for Jake. He hit safely in 3 to 4 games against the Giants. Full count, 3-2. Now Yasmani Tomas on deck.
Green lighting up that radar gun. That last fastball at 96.
Chad Green called up from AAA on Saturday to give them some length in the bullpen. He gets the start tonight, which allows Joe Girardi to push everyone in his rotation back a day for some extra rest. Diamondbacks did the same thing last week with Archie Bradley. Jake Lamb rolls it into right center, right through that shift, and he's trying for a double. He is in there. Jake Lamb, his 13th double. He just powered it right through that shift.
Just blasted right through that exaggerated pull shift. You see where Headley's positioned right up the middle of the field. Just a lean to his left and a dive, and couldn't get there in time. That ball just shot by him nearly all the way to the warning track, and Jake's in with a double.
Well, 4 batters into his career. Chad Green is going to get a mound visit from his pitching coach as Larry Rothschild makes his way out there with Austin Romine. 2 hard hit balls off the rookie after he struck out Segura and got Bourne to fly out harmlessly.
Already on that roller coaster. After the first batter, he's probably thinking, boy, this is pretty easy. I just punched out Gene Segura, and then I got Michael Bourne to fly out to left. This is nothing.
He has been pitching for the Yankees AAA affiliate in the International League at Scranton Wilkes-Barre. And in 7 starts with Scranton this year, he's put up a 1.22 ERA. He has pitched very well. But a home run and a double, both with 2 outs. And now Yasmani Tomas. Takes the first pitch for a ball, 1-0. Yasmani 301. He's got 5 homers. He has gone hitless in 3 of his last 4 games following a 6-game hitting streak. Two and 0. Remember your very first major league game? Obviously you weren't a pitcher, but I imagine the nerves are pretty close to what Chad Green is going through.
It was crazy. I mean, I didn't play my first game until we went on the road to Cincinnati, and I had about 75 friends and family at the game.
There's a little tapper. Headley's got to come in from third, and Tomas beats it out. An infield roller. 3 straight hits for the Diamondbacks as Jake Lamb's in at third.
The old swinging bunt. I say it all the time. If a hitter could master that, he might hit 500. Take a full swing, just dribble that ball down the third baseline with Headley playing back down there at third base. No chance to get Tomas at first.
Showing off that speed. Brandon Drury. Well, this is the guy who won up there right now. Brandon coming off a career best 4-hit game yesterday against the Giants. And he's in there hitting .320 on the year. Jake Lamb at third. Yasmani Tomas at first. A run in on the Goldie homer. Drury's homered 6 times this year. He's hit safely in 4 straight. Takes a big cut of that high fastball, and it's 1-1.
Seen a little bit of more of that from Brandon Drury lately, chasing pitches that maybe he wouldn't have chased earlier this season. That fastball up and in out of the zone. Last night chased a couple of hard sinkers down and in out of the zone.
Over enthusiastic?
Yeah, I think so.
Seen a lot of results lately, that's for sure. 1-2. What happened in your first game in Cincinnati?
I did get a base hit. I believe I went 1 for 5 in that ball game. My hit came off of a right-hander by the name of Scott Brown. A little soft line drive up the middle. At least that's what I'm calling it.
Well, either way, it's a day I'm sure that you never forget.
Like a lot of other events in your life, sometimes it happens so fast, and the buildup just, there's no way it can live up to the buildup, and you have to look back after the fact and try to remember some of the things that happened. And
well, I'm sure it's going a million miles an hour out there right now for this young man.
You know it is.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 on, 2 out. There goes Tomas, up and in. And Yasmani is in at second. That'll be his first stolen base on the year.
Chin music right there. It's 2 pitches up and in. One that Brandon swung at, and one he narrowly got out of the way of.
Single right now brings home 2. 3 balls, 2 strikes on Brandon Drury. Gregorius with a nice snag. Low throw. Teixeira has the scoop, and that's the end of the inning. Green strands 2, but he gives up 1. Paul Goldschmidt making that Goldie sound. His 8th home run of the year has made it 1-0 Diamondbacks. Checking out Mike and Sharon's Cactus Corn. That is, well, that's the best in the major leagues right there.
No doubt.
But is it connected somehow to your Valley Honda dealer? Key of the game.
You think you're going to come into our ballpark and win? Forget about it. Told you that back in 01.
I like you did a character there. I like that. That's your Jersey character. Chase Headley, the former Padre, leads off the second against Robbie Ray, who now leads it 1-0. And Headley shoots it foul down the right field line. A difficult season for Chase Headley in New York. It's been ugly. He's hitting an even 200, which is the highest his batting average has been all year. Chase Headley has 3 extra base hits all season, and all of them have come in the last 4 games. Up the middle, right into the shift. Gene Segura behind the bag, throws him out, 1 down.
That's why you put him there. Chase Headley with a hard ground ball back up the middle of the field. Gene Segura doesn't even have to move. Perfectly positioned to handle that ground ball.
Well, here's the former Minnesota Twin Aaron Hicks. Everybody on this Yankee team is a former somebody. They've come from all over. Hicks 203, 2 homers. Ellsbury from Boston, Castro from Chicago, Teixeira's been a bunch of places, Beltran 2, Headley San Diego, Hicks Minnesota, Gregorius Arizona. That's the way they have put this thing together. Missed away, 1-0 on Aaron Hicks, who's swinging the bat well right now, getting some more consistent playing time with the Yankees suffering through some injuries. They are without A-Rod right now. He's on the DL with a right hamstring strain. Michael Bourne. Two-time Gold Glover out there in center, making his first start as a Diamondback, and that'll bring up the former D-back Didi Gregorius. Didi now in his second season with the Yankees, .236. He's homered 3 times. Parts of 2 seasons with the D-backs, hit .241 during his time here in Arizona. In fact, was involved in the trade that brought Robbie Ray here to the Diamondbacks, and now they're in there against each other. That was a 3-team deal involving the Detroit Tigers as well. .95 from Robbie in there for a strike, and it's 1-1.
And one thing we know about Didi in his time here in the desert, not real patient. He's not going to take a lot of walks, only 3 base on balls all season long.
One thing he has done this year is hit left-hand pitching, and he belts that into center. Second straight inning, the Yankees have had a 2-out single against Robbie Ray.
He's right in there on a pitch away from him from a left-handed pitcher. Ball took a funny hop on Michael Bourne out there in center field. Jumped up neck high. He was able to knock it down and hold Didi to a single right there.
The catcher tonight, Brian McCann, not playing against the lefty Robbie Ray, so it's Austin Romine back there. .303. He's had only 35 plate appearances all year. McCann does most of the catching. And Austin Romine, the son of former big league outfielder Kevin Romine, who played parts of 7 seasons with the Red Sox. Now his son is a Yankee. His brother Andrew Romine is an infielder with the Tigers. Strike 1. A baseball family, the Romines.
Red Sox and Yankees, those family reunions might be a little contentious.
Oh, yeah. Kevin Romine was a very good reserve outfielder for a long time. Had some big hits for the Red Sox. He was one of those gritty, gutty guys. Big mustache. Big hairy guy, as Buck Showalter would refer to him. Shift is on for Romine, who taps it right back to Robbie Ray. And he strands the 2-out single. Bottom 2 on the way. The Diamondbacks lead the Yankees 1-0.
D-backs lead at 1-0 on the strength of a Paul Goldschmidt solo home run. Hey fans, anytime the D-backs score 5 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
Chris Herman will lead off the Diamondbacks second against rookie right-hander Chad Green, making his major league debut. He struck out Gene Segura, the first hitter he ever faced in the big leagues, but then 2 batters later, Paul Goldschmidt welcomed him to the major leagues with a long home run. And that's where we stand as Herman leads off the Arizona second. And Yankees have the shift on, and that's ball 1. Chris Herman just under 260 on the year. He's homered 4 times. Off the glove of Gregorius, and it rolls into right center. Chris Herman, a leadoff single. That's 4 hits for the Diamondbacks.
And the second hit pounded right through that exaggerated pull shift. You see Didi Gregorius on the second base side of the bag out there. Just can't get to that line drive as Chris Herman rips it into center field.
Nick Ahmed back in there at shortstop. Batting 8th tonight, 175 and 3 homers. Herman takes off. Here's the throw from Romine. It is high, and Chris Herman is in there with his 2nd stolen base this year. Diamondbacks very aggressive, running on the first pitch against the rookie Green.
Look at the smile on the face of Chris Herman. He started in center field last night. He steals a base tonight.
What is happening?
Are we sure this guy's a catcher? Wow.
The Babe Herman. So he's in scoring position. The pitch to Ahmed was a strike, and it's 0-1. What can't he do, Bub?
We've yet to discover that.
That's right. Well, actually, that's true. We haven't found anything he can't do yet.
Played a great right field at Coors. Didn't have many chances. Didn't have any chances in center last night, but looked really good standing out there.
He's been a pinch hitter. He's been a starting catcher. He's played center, played right.
Hit some home runs, driven in a lot of runs.
Just saw the speed game. That's in the seats, and it's 1-2 on Nick Ahmed. Well, Chip Hale said Nick is our shortstop. Nick Ahmed is the shortstop, but at the same time he said the point of bringing Michael Bourne up for the minor leagues is so that will allow Chip the opportunity to do some matching up, which means more looks at shortstop for Chris Owings, who's been out in center field. And obviously when Owings is at short, they need somebody to man center, and that's why Bourne is here. They do like the idea of giving Nick some days off for some work and some rest, and they hope that'll help. But he's in the starting lineup tonight, and he strikes out. Second strikeout for Green, 1 down in the 2nd.
That's a swing of indecision right there. Nice fastball outside part of the plate. Nick tracked it in there pretty well, realized it was too close to the strike zone to take, and just a last-minute emergency swing right through it.
Robbie Ray, Chris Herman at second, 1 out. Robbie 1 for 12 at the plate this year. There's a tapper over the mound, Didi Gregorius. As Herman moves into third. You buy the idea that maybe Nick Ahmed would benefit from some days off occasionally? I know Chip likes to give guys days just to work on stuff.
And I'm sure Nick has been working on a lot of things lately, and you know, physically it tends to take a toll, but even more so mentally when you're trying to think about all the things that you're trying to correct, things that maybe you've been doing wrong, things that you've been doing well that you want to emphasize. It can take a toll. I'm all for guys taking time off. 148 lineups in 162 games back in 01. I have no problem getting those guys in the bench in the lineup. And giving the guys in the regular lineup some regular rest. Let them go to the cage for 2 straight days and really work on some things, and then get them back in the lineup.
Looking for a 2-out hit from Gene Segura with Herman at third and 2 down. Diamondbacks took a 1-0 lead on the Goldie homer, but then they got a double from Lamb, a single by Tomas. They left him on the corners. Couldn't get a 2-out hit. They have another chance here with Segura ahead, 2 balls and no strikes. How did the guys react when you had 148 different lineups?
They were fine with it. I mean, you know, we started it in spring training and right into the regular season, and You know, they all bought into it. I think the fact that guys like Mark Grace and Matt Williams and Jay Bell, who were established veteran players and had great careers, and realized that it was for their own best good to sit out once in a while, especially if it was a tough matchup. You know, why go out there and beat your head against a wall against the guy that you haven't hit your entire career? We can run the guy, Greg Colburn, or Rubio Durazo, David DeLucci, whoever it was. You know, we can run those guys in there for a night, let them get their 4 or 5 at bats, and you'll be back fresh tomorrow.
3-1 pitch. Off the glove of Didi. Herman scores. The RBI for Segura, who's headed for second, and he is in there with a hustle double. 2-0 Diamondbacks. There's your big 2-out hit.
Some hard-hit line drives in the first couple innings here for the D-backs offensively. Another ripped line drive that just ticks off the webbing of Didi's glove on into center field. And Chris Herman trots home with run number 2.
20th RBI for Gene Segura. Now he's in scoring position for Michael Bourne, who flied out his first time up. Bourne, the start in center field, batting second tonight.
That's pretty impressive when the team's playing a pull shift and you drive the ball right through it anyway, like Chris Herman did.
Jake Lamb, too.
Yep.
Squaring some balls up here. A good sign for a team that has struggled offensively. This is carved out the other way for Hicks. Near the warning track. Diamondbacks get one in the first. Now one more in the second on the Segura double. They lead the Yankees 2-0.
Participate in Gila River game nights by signing up at one of the interactive kiosks right here to Chase Field during any Diamondbacks regular season home game.
Pitcher Chad Green, who has never had an at-bat as a professional baseball player, steps in his major league debut, and he takes strike one from Robbie Ray. He didn't even own a pair of batting gloves. He's been in the Tigers and the Yankees minor league systems, and this is his first AB since the beginning of time, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
And quickly he's down 0-2.
And heads up on that third base side. You got a left-handed hitting pitcher that has never batted before against a guy throwing really hard out there on the mound. Foul balls are probably going to go to that third base side.
There it is. First strikeout for Robbie Ray. Green, 3 pitches, 3 strikes. Thanks for playing. Brings up Jacoby Ellsbury. Ellsbury popped up his first time up. That one got C.B. Bucknor back there.
Snuck around the side of that extender down the front of the chin. Looked like it got him on the side of the jaw, maybe the neck area.
Skipped off the top of that plate, it looked like. He's none the worse for wear, and so Ellsbury has an 0-1 count. Mentioned this before. Jacoby does a tremendous job here in the Valley every year. He has a baseball camp and clinic for Native American youth. We did it again in January out at Salt River Field. Diamondbacks work with Jacoby on that, and we must have had 250, 300 kids from all over the state of Arizona, and he is tremendous with each and every kid. They receive personal attention from him, and he does a really wonderful job with that event every year. 2-2. Diamondbacks have the shift on. Take Lamb, the third baseman, standing in the second base spot.
One thing you have to be careful of with Jacoby Ellsbury, 4 times already this season he's reached on catcher's interference.
He has a knack for that. It's a little weird.
Yeah, some guys it's because they swing very late. They wait to recognize the ball. They see it's in the strike zone, maybe in a 2-strike count, and swing late to protect the plate. Other guys kind of extend their bat out behind them before they start to swing and have a real long loopy swing, but you have to know that as a catcher and give him a little bit more leeway. I think I mentioned this in the past, and it seems appropriate on Joe Garagiola senior night here. Yogi Berra's son Dale was notorious for catcher's interference. He'd stand deep in the right-handed batter's box, and I swear his swing went straight down to the ground, because he would hit catchers in the back of the glove all the time.
Called strike 3. Robbie Ray rings him up. 2 down.
Powered that in there on the outside corner at the knees. Not much Ellsbury could do with that pitch anyway.
Boy, that was gorgeous. Starlin Castro, the former Cub who grounded out his first time, and that's what you're looking for from Robbie Ray. How about that? 32 pitches, 25 strikes. And he's getting ahead in the count. 0-1 on Castro, who's hit safely in 9 of his last 10 games. Hard to believe that Starlin Castro is still only 26 years old. In fact, he just turned 26 in March. He's been in the big leagues for so long. When he left Chicago, he'd already been to 3 All-Star games and had more than 990 hits. So when it's all said and done, he's going to put up some numbers the way he hits.
He's just had an amazing knack throughout his professional career, starting at the minor league level right through the big leagues, of just getting the bat on the ball. Not always the barrel. Sometimes he'll hit it off the end. Sometimes he'll hit it off his hands. But he will put the ball in play.
He does this time right to Nick Ahmed. A 1-2-3 inning for Robbie Ray, who's got a 2-0 lead. Joe Torre joins us in a booth when we come back from Chase Field.
Brought to you by Geico as the Diamondbacks lead this one 2-0 in the bottom half of the 3rd inning. Look away, Joe. Look away.
Oh wow, this is cruel, Joe. Joe, let me apologize for my partner here.
No, hey, it wasn't me.
I told Zimmer I wanted to play the infield back, and I respected his age and experience, and you know he got me in trouble. What can I tell you?
It is our great privilege to have baseball's chief baseball officer here, Joe Torre, in the booth with us. Are you two joined at the hip in one sense now, forever?
I don't think there's any question. I mean, the fact that first of all, you get to a World Series. I know the Yankees have done it a lot and all that stuff. That's something you never take for granted. It's always something very special. It didn't happen to me until I've been in the game. You know, I'm 56 years old, and I started in professionally at 19. You know, and then Bobby, I mean, there's never going to be another, you know, first-time World Series in Phoenix. And so it's something they can't take away from.
Yeah, that was very special. And part of the reason it was so special is Goldie goes down looking at a called strike 3. It was the fact we were playing the Yankees, Joe. I mean, you know, the most iconic franchise in all of baseball, and you guys have just been dominating the landscape for years. And the fact that our first championship here in Arizona came against the Yankees made it extra special.
And I can understand that, but it was so special being here. Game 2, I'll never forget, and of course, this animal over here. You know, I could have done with him coming out of the bullpen. The problem is, you see his head over the fence already. You know who it's going to be.
That's a good point.
Yeah, but Game 2, when Ray Charles singing "America the Beautiful," my goodness, it was unbelievable. It was quite an emotion here.
Do they come back when you're in this ballpark? Have you been here, back here many times since then?
I managed the Dodgers, so
you know
we came in here often, but it's and again, I can't say it's a bad memory, because even though we lost the World Series, it was probably the most exciting one that I was a part of.
Really?
I think the drama in New York, those 3 games, and you know, Bobby, the one thing about Bob Brenly, I mean, a lot of things about Bob Brenly, but the fact of the matter is, he never lost his focus and cool. You know, in spite of the emotion of losing those games in New York. I mean, we came back here and they kicked our butts in Game 6. So I mean, that's a credit to the manager, where you basically keep them on point. And you know, and of course, Game 7 was an epic drama.
You know, the whole series was just epic under the circumstances, what was going on in the world at the time. Jake Lamb slaps one into left field for a base hit. Yeah, I'm a little biased, but it worked out the way it had to. You know, New York needed those 3 games in that series, and the way they ended, it just gave everybody something to take a deep breath and step away from their problems and really enjoy the game of baseball.
There is no question, and of course, I mean, we both had a memorable moment with President Bush throwing out the first pitch in Game 3. I mean, that, and as Bob pointed out, the emotion of 9/11, the tenseness of the World Series, and of course what was going on in the world. It was just so unusual and something you can never duplicate. Not that we ever want to.
How did each of you deal with that circumstance? Because no one has ever had to deal with that in your position. Hopefully no one ever will again. What did that mean for you as a manager and managing your players in that situation?
And the 9/11 you're talking about, Steve?
Yes, sir.
Well, you know, we were in New York at the time it happened, and we visited like Ground Zero, and well, not Ground Zero, because that was a little too soon. We went to the Armory, we went to St. Vincent's Hospital, and we wind up going to the Javits Center, where there was a staging area, but the Armory was it, because that's where all the families were waiting for results from the DNA. Wow. And I didn't know if we should even go in there. Yeah. So I had a number of players and a number of staff that was still left in New York that we went. And I remember sending somebody in to check and see if it would be okay. And then we went in there, and families would call us over. And I remember Bernie Williams, such a poignant moment. Bernie Williams went over to this one woman. He said, "I don't know what to say." He says, "But you look like you need a hug." And from there, all of a sudden, different families come over, because they were separated by partitions, low partitions. Each family had their spot, and they were showing pictures of their loved ones in Yankee garb.
Wow!
And I realized at that point we had a job to do, and it was basically, as Bob pointed out, to distract the people from what reality was going on around them.
So you were dealing with it obviously on a very close and personal level. Bob, suddenly you're in the middle of that national stage with your team from Arizona. How was it for you?
Well, we made it optional. We made a trip to Ground Zero. Enough time had elapsed, and they were still digging through the rubble looking for survivors or looking for bodies at that point. And we were asked if we wanted to go out there as a group, and we didn't make it mandatory because some of the guys just said they didn't think they could handle it. They didn't want to be a part of it, and they didn't want to go there and be disrespectful in any way, shape, or form. But the guys who did go, I think, have been changed forever. You mentioned Randy's head peeking over the bullpen fence. Well, you can imagine Randy Johnson walking down there in Ground Zero, and the rescue workers and the families that were there came running over, taking pictures, handing him cell phones. This is my son. Can you say hi to him, please? And it was just a moment, the likes of which I'll never experience and hope I never have to experience again. But those rescue workers were so grateful just that the players took the time to come out there and see what they were going through.
Well, Didi Gregorius had the baseball but couldn't find the bag, and second base umpire Jim Reynolds says safe as Lamb is in there. Castro made a nice play behind the base, but Didi apparently couldn't find his footing.
We've talked about this lately, partner. This is one of those things with the exaggerated pull shifts that teams might have to work on a little more in spring training, approaching that bag at second from an awkward position.
Well, since we have you here, Joe,
no, it wasn't a violation.
Well, how is the review process working in your estimation right now? Where are we with it?
The review process is, working. I mean, I think for replay, it's, it's what people were crying for, and because you had the technology to be able to do it in a short enough time. We're at like a minute and 45 seconds, but from challenge to the end, it's a lot longer than that. But see where Joe Girardi's not going to challenge because it wasn't definitive, which means you're not going to overturn that call. But it is working, Bob. It's really weird. We've had so many more challenges so far this year than in the past. And here I thought because of the slide rule, and that would take a challenge, that they may save it. But it hasn't been the case. They see something that they want to challenge and they go out right now, because as well as I do, there's no insignificant time for something to happen on the field.
Chris Herman. Anything you'd like to change with it that is in discussion right now?
Steve, we look at it at the end of the year and we say, we could probably tweak this or tweak that, and we'll do that. Again, I don't think there's anything glaring. I think it's a contradiction of what we're doing with the pace of game.
True.
And so I think we have to, try to accommodate, but make sure that we make it fair as far as giving a chance, giving the review people in New York a chance to, make the call right. So it's something that we'll look at. But again, we take everything in, and we have stats, and we look at it and we see what would make sense to add or subtract or whatever.
Everybody, I'm sure, has input or suggestions. I know Bob has a few. He'd probably like to pass along.
Let me tell you something.
Yes, sir.
I tell managers this. You guys have any ideas, call me. Do me a favor. Don't go to the media and complain about it and tell me how you're going to fix it. Just call me, because we take everything in consideration. We try to accommodate, because we're here to serve the game. We're not here to dictate the game. We're here to serve the game, and managers are obviously a huge part of it.
We're going to lose you at this half inning, so I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about one of the reasons you're here, Joe Garagiola. What did he mean to you and to baseball?
Well, you were Joe's friend for life when you met him. You just felt like you were important because that's the way he made you feel. He cared about you. And it's interesting. Both guys lived across the street from each other, he and Yogi Berra, and they were the same. They made you feel important when they talked to you. And, Joe and I worked in the booth for a limited period of time in California for the Angels. And it was a special time in my life.
Joe Torre. Sir, thank you so much for coming by. We appreciate it.
Steve, it's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Always good to see you, Steve.
Thank you.
Fourth inning here at Chase Field. 1-0. The Yankees and the Diamondbacks. D-backs lead New York 2-0 as Mark Teixeira leads off the top of the fourth inning against Robbie Ray. So far, a Goldie homer and a Gene Segura double have been all the offense. And we just talked to Major League Baseball's Chief Baseball Officer Joe Torre. And now here is the D-backs president and CEO Derek Hall, who was among the many dignitaries down there, my partner as well, honoring Joe Garagiola. And Derek, people I think outside Arizona who may be watching here because the Yankees are in town may not realize Joe's association with the Diamondback. Can you sum that up?
Yeah, it's unbelievable for me. I mean, I grew up watching the guy as we all did and idolizing him, and then you see him here in the booth, especially on Sundays. It was very special. But I think his presence and his involvement in the Diamondbacks brought instant credibility to the franchise. It really did. When you could take someone with that resume and with that talent and bring him into the organization, it's a wow factor right away.
It was a thrill for me. I got here and suddenly I'm in the Joe Garagiola broadcast booth doing games with Joe. I mean, I had watched him when I was a kid, Saturday afternoons. It was amazing.
And here he was, in his 80s doing games, Steve, and just as sharp as he was when he was in his 40s. I mean, he never lost a beat, never skipped a beat. He was beautiful to listen to, and his stories were always relevant and always fresh. He was just that voice that you expect to hear in the living room, that you enjoy and you look forward to, and everyone in the family of all ages had some sort of a relation or a special bond with Joe Garagiola.
Yep, when you heard Joe's voice, you just kicked off your shoes and leaned back on the couch and enjoyed the next 3 hours.
Teixeira laces one down the left field line. It's in the corner. Tomas digs it out, and Teixeira has his fourth double. First extra base hit for the Yankees against Robbie Ray.
And partner, we've talked about this. I don't think fans nowadays or even players nowadays can appreciate what a big deal it was when you were the game of the week.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, are you kidding me? I mean, obviously not every game was on television back then. If you happened to be on the game of the week and Joe Garagiola Jr. or Sr. rather came to your ballpark, and he used to always come to the catchers to find out information about the pitching staff, who's hot, who's cold, and I'll never forget the first time I met Joe at Candlestick Park.
Carlos Beltran. Well, Joe's memory will always be on display here for everyone that comes to ball games at Chase Field with that terrific logo. And Bob, you were talking about that last night. I think it was the logo that's been designed here. Derek did a wonderful job with that.
Yeah, we did it in-house, and we're very proud of it. Of course, catching was such a big part of who he is. And his family has been thrilled. They were so grateful and thanking us over and over again for the patch, for having it on the uniforms all year, for selling it now with some proceeds going to the mission that he was so fond of and tried to help so frequently.
Yankees fans in full voice here. It's 1-2 on Beltran. Now, I have one of the patches here. There's the design. Would you mind holding that up?
Yeah.
Now, how can Diamondback fans get one of those, and where does the money go to again?
Well, it's going to a lot of the proceeds are going to the St. Peter Indian Mission that he was involved with. They could go online onto our website and go to dbacks.com/donate, and it is there. There's actually a attachment, a page that goes to Joe, and they can buy the patch there. And again, proceeds are going to that cause and to the mission. Of course, Sister Martha, who was here tonight, was such a big part in his life, and Joe was always going out there and leaning on us to take equipment, to take leftovers, to take some of the giveaways that weren't handed out.
Base hit for Beltran. They're going to have to stop Teixeira at third. They're in the corners for the Yankees to open up the fourth.
And as you guys know, if Joe was in the booth right now, the way this is going, he'd probably ask me to leave.
Undoubtedly, yeah.
And I think he's right.
Well, we're going to keep you here if it's okay. And fans want to know, look, clearly this wasn't the start that everybody hoped for. It's certainly not too late to turn this thing around. Where is the organization's thinking on where things stand right now?
Well, you look at the way the season started, and we had trouble throwing the ball. We weren't pitching well, but we were hitting. We had a lot of offense. Now the pitching is there, and the offense hasn't been there. We're waiting for both to click, and we know it's going to happen. It's a matter of time. We've been fortunate enough to be able to stay in this race as we have. I mean, if we were in some of the other divisions right now, we'd be in trouble. So we're fortunate that we're still within striking distance, but you got to get going. We know that, and especially here at home. there's really no excuse for being 11 games under 500 in our home stadium. We have to fix that, and it would be nice to start that tonight.
Chase Headley, the former Padre. Ball one from Robbie Ray. Headley grounded out his first time up.
But that ceremony was special. It was nice having his wife here, and having been back at the funeral, the service back in St. Louis. Audrey was wonderful, and she got up to speak, as fragile as she was, and boy, she gave the most beautiful and eloquent speech. And at the very end, she says, and I know when Joe got there, he went to St. Peter and said, do you mind giving me a house across the street from Yogi? And she walked away.
Meant to be that way. That is amazing.
It is amazing. And seeing those two, he and his wife, all those years here at the ballpark. And I would look back at him. He sat up at 213, almost directly above me from where I sit. And he had moved from behind home plate over up there. It was a little easier for him to access. And after home runs or big plays, I'd look back and he'd stand up and he'd wave and give me a thumbs up. And the next day I'd come in, there'd be a voicemail there with him saying, enjoy the great moments.
What did you learn from Joe?
So much. He was so passionate about smokeless tobacco, about spit tobacco, and he and I teamed up and we started the No Chew crew here years ago, and that was a lot of fun for the two of us to do, and allow kids to get in for free as long as they signed a pledge that they would not use tobacco. But what you learn from Joe is if you're passionate about something, you just keep going for it. You don't let anybody shut the door in front of you. You knock down doors if you need to. I watched him speak about it in front of Congress. I watched him lobby the government over and over again. I watched him walk up to players, big time players in the clubhouse, and grab tobacco and throw it in the trash can and say, you're stopping right now. This is a guy who definitely had passion. He exuded it. But he was so enthusiastic for life and for others. And the reason why he cared so much is he cared for everyone else. He wanted everyone to live very healthy and long lives.
Well, Bob, you could start it out here as a broadcaster when the Diamondbacks were launched, and Joe G was a part of it then.
Yeah, Joe was around all the time, filling in from time to time when we were called away to do other duties. And yeah, it was always good. You'd come back and Joe would act like, well, where you been? You're working me to death around here. But you knew he loved every minute he was able to sit in this booth and watch his beloved game of baseball.
Base hit for Headley. Teixeira will score. Beltran stops at second, and it's a 2-1 ball game. Well, Headley now, he went 23 games without driving in a run, the longest RBI drought of his career, but he's now knocked in runs in 6 of his last 7 games. The bat's starting to come around for the Yankees.
You know what's so great about Joe, just as it is with Bob here, it's nice to have a catcher up here in the booth who's looking at the game differently. And I think Bob does so much of what Joe did, and what you enjoy is he gives you the insights that most don't know about. He will say, okay, right now the man on second may be giving the batter a little hint here of what's coming, or which Bob will do, right? And I think back to that Rockies series. Bob picked up a few things in that opening series that most wouldn't, but being a manager and being a catcher and being, I think, as good a color analyst as there is today, just like Joe, they give you insight to the game that most don't know.
Not to mention the natural paranoia that goes along with being a catcher. Everybody's trying to steal your signs, it's just it goes with the territory.
Yeah, who's more paranoid than catchers and managers? You got both boxes checked, right?
Check for him.
Aaron Hicks now, 3 straight hits open up the Yankee 4th against Robbie Ray. A run in, 2 on, and still nobody out. Hicks lined out to center his first time up. Yes, he went. Field and Culbreth. It's 0-1. Now that everybody's had a chance to see the uniforms and all shapes and sizes, what's been the reaction?
Well, the feedback from our fans has been very positive. We knew that it would be one that was going to have, it was a polarizing effect. We knew some were going to love them, some were going to hate them. It's going to take time for those to get used to them. Most of the comments that we've heard that have been negative, and a lot of them have been in fun and been in jest, have come from the opposition when we've been on the road. And some of them are funny. They look at that dark gray and they say, we'll make a decision on these when they dry. And of course we had fun with it. We had our mean tweets that we did. You have to have fun, but I think we were the right team to take that next step forward. very pioneering in a lot that we do. Major League Baseball is looking for ways to connect with a younger audience, and the feedback that we've gotten from our younger fans, the younger demographic, has been spectacular. And that's really what this is about, connecting with all fans. But I love the variety. I love the variation, and I am so proud of the fact that we brought back the teal and we matched it up with the Sedona red, and I think they complement each other wonderfully. Those are my favorite personally. I love the white with the teal and red, and I also like that road uniform with the teal as well.
Yeah, the teal seems immensely popular wherever we go. 2-1. And it's nice to have a different look every time out. It's not the same thing every day.
It is. Yeah, it's nice. And as long as fans get some sort of an idea of what's coming, or in a rotation, they can know what to wear as well. But I'm telling you, these jerseys can't stay on the shelf. And it's amazing how, like that jersey there, the road jersey, people usually don't buy the road jersey for their team. Right. And it is our best seller, that Arizona road jersey. Sells better than any.
Well, Robbie Ray digging himself a hole here, down 3-1 on Hicks.
And he keeps opening this broadcast booth door for me to run out.
Don't leave yet.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Take a ground ball here.
In the air, deep center field. Michael Bourne at the track, near the wall. It's still carrying, and he's got it. The runners advance. Allowed out number 1 for Robbie Ray. Beltran is in at third, and Headley at second.
Chases Michael Bourne all the way back to the barrier, never takes his eye off the baseball. He's played several games in this ballpark before, so he is somewhat familiar with center field and how that ball will carry. Needed every bit of that 407 feet to track that one down.
Didi Gregorius, the former Diamondback, who belted one into center his first time up. Didi has hit lefties very well this year. 1 for 1 so far tonight. That's been one of the big improvements in his game. Chops that one foul, and it's 0-1. How do you feel, Derek, when a former Diamondback comes back here, like a young guy like Didi, for instance?
Well, we enjoyed having Didi here. He was fun to watch each and every day. Exciting player. You root for a guy like that, especially when they're not in the division or in the league. I follow these guys, especially when they are in the American League. I try and watch games and see his at-bats, and I pull for him. I still consider him a Diamondback. Of course, we had traded for him to begin with Cincinnati and Cleveland in that trade, but it's nice to see him succeeding, and we want him to do well. We want both sides to win in a trade, obviously.
Especially if they're in the American League.
That's right. Now we're not talking about the NL West, are we, Bob?
No.
If I see former players playing for one of those teams, I'm not rooting for them to do so well. I want their families to be doing well, but not their stats.
BB, get the infield back here with second and third, 1 out.
He's trying to avoid a big inning here, hoping to get a ground ball, even if you have to give up a run to do it. Get the second out of the inning, and then hopefully get a pop up, a ground ball, strike out, something quick to get out of this inning. Notice we took a shot at Joe there when you mentioned the infield's playing back.
Just coincidence. First thing he mentioned when he was here. 0-2 on Didi Gregorius. Popped him up. Nick Ahmed. Big out. Huge.
We were sitting there out on the field, Joe and I, as we're about to speak, and I said, Joe, this crowd, we got so many Yankee fans. Those Yankee fans are going to go crazy for you when you get introduced. He said, the D-backs fans should go crazy for me when I get introduced the way they beat me here.
He's right. That was that was a thrilling series.
It really was. And the entire nation was pulling for New York, and Bob and his guys, they were magical. They really were.
I felt the same way. I thought, it's us against the world.
Yeah.
But then we went to New York and ran into some Mets fans. They
That's
weren't
different.
so crazy about the Yankees winning the World Series that year. So we had more fans than we realized between the Red Sox fans that wanted to see the Yankees lose and the Mets fans that wanted to see the Yankees lose.
I surrender that point, Bob. You're right.
We had quite a fan base there.
Well, I was born and raised in Boston. I've jumped up and down in my living room watching sports on TV twice. The first time was when Adam Vinatieri kicked a field goal and won the Super Bowl. The second time was Gonzo's hit, and that's been it.
Wow.
So I was in an apartment in West Hartford, Connecticut, jumping up and down when that ball dropped in here in this field.
Unbelievable.
Well, you've got Chad Green, the rookie right-hander, making his major league debut. He has never hit at any professional level up until his first at-bat when he struck out looking on 3 pitches. So they'll give Romine, the catcher, the free pass, and they'll work to the rookie pitcher Green. Bases full, 2 down.
It was a great story with us going to New York to play Game 3. And we had some owners. Of course, Ken Kendrick tells me the story, but they're on the bus. They're getting ready to go to the game, and it's a little chilly night. And one of the wives of one of the owners gets on the bus, and she's not wearing a coat, and she's not carrying a jacket. And Ken asked her, "Aren't you afraid you're going to get cold?" And she said, "Well, I figured they would just close the roof." Well, yeah, there is no roof there.
Robbie Ray behind 2-0. Second professional at bat for Green. He takes a strike. If there was ever a time to walk the 8-hole hitter with first base open and work to the pitcher, this was it. But Robbie is behind in the count. Now it's 70 pitches, 46 for strikes. 2-2.
Get out of this inning with 1 run, and that's a win.
Good job of damage control.
Got him. Robbie Ray leaves the bases loaded. Diamondbacks maintain the lead. President and CEO Derek Hall. Derek, thanks so much.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, BB.
Yankees 2-1. Native American Recognition Day is June 11th here at the ballpark, and if you arrive early to the D-backs game against the Marlins, you can add the exclusive D-backs tribal cap to your collection this summer. It's courtesy of Gila River Casinos. Get your tickets at dbacks.com. The cavalcade of stars continues. Sister Martha's here with us. I am told that you are the #1 D-backs fan.
All of us are pretty great fans. There are 7 of us.
We have a lot of them. So everybody over there, huh?
Of course.
Now, how do you guys watch the games? Radio? Do you listen to the governor? You watch it on TV? What do you do?
Usually TV.
See, that's the right answer.
But if we're in the car, it's radio.
Well, we're glad to have you with us here. Tell us about Joe Garagiola's involvement with your organization and what that meant to you and continues to mean.
Yeah, Joe is part of our mission. For the last 25 years, he has been the motivator, the cheerleader, the inspiration, the friend, even when he would sneak the kids' Tops bubble gum. And he told them it was okay to do that.
There's some video of the St. Peter Mission School. There you are.
That's it.
Now, how long have you been there, sister?
This is my 32nd year.
God bless you. That's amazing.
It's home. It's home. I'm teaching children of the grandchildren of the children I taught in the 70s.
Wow.
I'm some Grandma Martha.
Here's Robbie Ray.
Good player.
Well, I know you came out to many, many games here at the ballpark over the years. Joe would bring you guys out, and I have to tell you, there were a few times maybe we'd lose 2 or 3 games in a row, and I'd look up in the stands, and Joe would have you all up there, and I knew our luck was going to turn.
You're right. We enjoyed coming.
Well, Diamondback fans who want to get involved, there's Joe at the Mission. You can go to dbacks.com/donate and give to the Joe G Fund, which benefits the sister and the St. Peter Indian Mission School.
Great.
I know he was enormously proud of everything that you guys do over there. It meant a lot to him.
Yeah. He was part of the inspiration for it.
And if you donate, I'm sorry, Sid, if you donate, you get the Joe G patch here, which is on the sleeves of the Diamondback players and coaches right now and down on our field. So we will get these to you. There it is. So how's your ball club doing here? What do you think about what you're watching?
We're beating the Yankees, and that's how it should be.
One day at a time, right?
Just like you did in 2001. It can be done.
Gene Segura. That was a pretty good year. Where were you during Game 7? Do you remember?
On the floor in the living room with my hands folded.
Chase Edlin. dbacks.com/donate. And you can help out a cause that is near and dear to Joe Garagiola and everyone in the Diamondback family. Sister, thank you so much for being here.
God bless you and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Field, D-backs lead the Yankees 2-1 as we start the 5th inning. Greater coverage of baseball is brought to you by T-Mobile. It's a relatively slow night across the major league, so our look at the NL West brings you basically all the National League scores instead. Boy, Cleveland just pounded on the Reds at Progressive Field 15-6. The Pirates, we're headed there next week, beat Atlanta. Marlins winners at Philadelphia, and the Angels and Dodgers are doing that whole freeway thing, 3-2 at Dodger Stadium. Jacoby Ellsbury leads off the 5th against Robbie Ray. D-backs have out hit the Yankees 6-5. They lead it 2-1. Ellsbury so far 0 for 2. Robbie Ray did a good job there. First 3 for the Yankees. Reached on base hits in the 4th to share a double. Beltran and Headley single. And then with 2 outs, they walked Romine intentionally. Got the pitcher Chad Green to strike out and leave him loaded as the Yankees were only able to get 1 home. So we'll put that down as a win.
Yeah. I mentioned at the time damage control, and Joe Girardi really wishing he had a designated hitter for this game.
Better believe it. Robbie Ray was ahead in the count throughout the early portions of this ball game. He's fallen behind as Ellsbury drives one to deep right center field, and it's off the 413 mark. Ellsbury can fly. He's headed for third, and he is in there with a triple. It's in the stands, and he will come on home to tie the ball game. Difficult relay execution there by the Diamondbacks, and it cost them a run.
I think that ball might have hit Ellsbury right in the back of the helmet, possibly the shoulder. It ricocheted over Jake Lamb, over everybody backing up to play into the stands. It looked like they had a shot at him at third base. We know how quick Nick Ahmed can get rid of that ball and get it off to his target. Nice carom off the wall, comes right back to Brandon Drury here on 2 hops. And then the throw right there hits Ellsbury in the helmet, over Jake Lamb, over Robbie Ray, backing up the play and into the stands.
That scored as a triple, E6. That's a tough error to hang on Nick Ahmed, but the throw, as you saw, skipped off the helmet. And every base has to be accounted for. So a triple for Ellsbury. He scores on the error by Ahmed, and it's a 2-2 ball game. Starlin Castro 0 for 2, behind 0-1.
We've touched on this briefly in the past on some other calls. I think that's one of those plays that screams out for a team error. It's not fair to hang Nick Ahmed with an error right there. If that throw doesn't hit Ellsbury in the head, they get the out at third.
Gene Segura got him. What a play. Takes a base hit away from Starlin Castro. It's our Chaz Roberts air conditioning cool play of the game off the mound.
That might have helped just a little bit, that ball hitting off the side of the mound, coming back toward Gene Segura just enough so he can make that diving play and throw on to first in time to get Castro.
Mark Teixeira has singled, doubled, scored a run. He's 2 for 2. Shift is on for the Diamondbacks, and the bat is up against the backstop.
More stickum there.
It's been a very difficult year for Mark Teixeira. He at one point, in fact, he went into this weekend stuck in a 4 for 41 slump. It's been a slog for him all season long. He hasn't hit a home run since April 13th, but the bat has shown signs of coming around. At least it did this weekend, and so far tonight he's 2 for 2. Ellsbury still catching his breath from his trip around the bases. 1-2 on Mark Teixeira.
Yeah, I will give it up to Jacoby Ellsbury. That ball looked like it had a chance to get out of here off the bat, but he was busting it out of that batter's box. He was going hard right out of the batter's box until he got to third base. That ball unfortunately hit him in the helmet and bounced out of play.
And Ellsbury just coming off a recent hip strain. He was out for a while. Missed 7 games with a strained muscle in his right hip. But he was busting around the bases as Ray strikes out Teixeira. 4th strikeout for Robbie Ray. 2 down in the 5th. Carlos Beltran, another switch hitter. Beltran singled his last time up. He's 1 for 2. Leading the Yankees in home runs and RBIs. He's homered 4 times in his last 7 games. And his home run yesterday against the White Sox at Yankee Stadium was number 400 on the career. The 54th player ever to reach that milestone. He is also just the 4th switch hitter ever to get to 400 homers. Mickey Mantle, Eddie Murray, Chipper Jones, and now Carlos Beltran. In honor of the memory of Joe Garagiola Sr. Joe Jr. is going to join us in our booth a little bit later in the ball game. Called strike 3. C.B. Bucknor rings up Beltran. They're still talking that one over. 5 strikeouts for Robbie, but we're tied at 2.
6 hits as we head to the bottom half of the 5th inning. Paul Goldschmidt has already homered in this game, so fans, that means tomorrow a free jumbo jacket, participating Jack-in-a-Box locations with the purchase of a large drink.
Bottom 5. And we'll see Goldie in this inning against rookie right-hander Chad Green, making his major league debut. He's got 5 strikeouts so far. Had a little bit of a bumpy ride to open up the ball game, but he's retired the last 5 he's faced. He just completed a 1-2-3 fourth, and now Michael Bourne leads off the 5th, trying to bunt for a base hit. And Teixeira can't hang on. Bourne's aboard. Looked like the throw might have been there in time to get him, but a long stretch for Tex down there. Here's a look. They had him.
Might have to be an E3 right there. That ball hit him right in the glove. Pretty nice play by the young pitcher. Teixeira just couldn't hold on.
Yeah. That is an E3, you're right, BB. So Bourne's aboard. Here's Goldie, who had a long home run against Green in the first inning, his 8th of the year. That'll be our Jimmy John's delivery of the game as Goldie delivers with 2 outs in the first. Making that Goldie sound.
We love that sound.
Lays off that one. It's a ball. 1-0. Goldie struck out looking his last time up against Green to lead off the 3rd. Chad Green's done a pretty good job here from Effingham, Illinois. Pitched at the University of Louisville. Tigers got him in the draft, an 11th round pick 3 years ago. Yankees picked him up this winter in a trade with the Tigers for pitcher Justin Wilson. He's had a very good year at AAA Scranton, and tonight making his major league debut. Goldie lays off. It's 2-0. Yankees rotation has had some injuries, something GM Brian Cashman anticipated, so they stockpiled some minor league pitching depth. Luis Severino went on the DL this weekend with a tricep strain. CC Sabathia has been out with a groin since May the 6th, although he is expected back on Friday. Sabathia threw a simulated game yesterday and was fine. So they've got Green up here for bullpen depth. They used him to push everybody back a day, and here he is behind on Goldie. 3 balls and no strikes. Ball 4. An error and a walk opened up the Diamondback 5th. First walk issued by Chad Green. Jake Lamb has hit the ball hard twice so far. A double and a single. He's 2 for 2. Larry Rothschild will pay another visit to his rookie right-hander as the bullpen gets busy for the Yankees. Mentioned Green has had a very good year with their AAA team, Scranton Wilkes-Barre. 7 starts there this year. 36 strikeouts in 37 innings and a 1.22 ERA. He last pitched a week ago tonight. Works 6 scoreless innings, 4 hits with 9 strikeouts, and there is a shot inside the Yankee bullpen. That's the former LSU Tiger Nick Goody, the right-hander. 2 on, nobody out. Jake Lamb 2 for 2.
It'd be nice to put up a crooked number in an inning here. Diamondbacks haven't really busted out and had that one big inning where everybody gets involved, gets to running bases, drive in some runs, score some runs. Good start here with 2 men on, nobody out.
Bourne is the runner at second, Goldschmidt at first. Jake's production has slowed this month. He's hitting under 230 in May. 7 RBIs in 14 games, but he's hardly alone there. With the offense struggling lately. Good chance to get a run started here in the home half of the 5th. The 0-1. In there, it's 0-2. Big crowd here tonight. Roof and panels open. We like to think so. Joe Sr. can watch from above.
Best seat in the house.
A lot of fans with us here. Missed upstairs, a ball and 2 strikes on Jake Lamb. Joe Girardi's been a grind. They're in last place in the AL East. They're 7 back of the Orioles and the Red Sox. Bounced that one. Romine really got it there.
I think he might have got one up underneath the mask that time. You see that extension at the bottom of the mask, which is meant to protect the throat.
Oh.
There's a phrase that catching instructors use on a ball in dirt: chin on chest.
That's why, huh?
Yeah, if you put your chin on your chest, there's no way that ball can sneak up underneath that bar right there. But Romine looking up a little bit, just enough room for that ball to sneak underneath.
Was Steve Yeager the first guy you remember with that thing that used to hang down? Because that's the one that I recall seeing first.
Yeah, Yeager had one that was actually tied on with a couple of pieces of glove lacing. And it was a piece of hard plastic that hung straight down the front. Ideally to protect the throat, but you know, occasionally a foul ball would hit that thing and turn it sideways, and you'd still end up taking the brunt of it. They've continually tried to remodel the catcher's mask and get more protection for that throat area.
It has a way of finding the bare spot.
Yes, it does.
As we honor Joe Garagiola Sr. here tonight at Chase Field. 2-2 on Jake Lamb. Bourne the runner at second, Goldie at first. Fly ball, right field corner. Oh, nice grab out there. How about that, BB?
Nice. That's why you bring your glove.
Terrific catch.
Standing.
You may have to get one of those contracts out here.
Maybe a multi-year contract for this play. Look at that. Nicely done.
Wearing a D-backs shirt. Tremendous catch. Nice job. It's a full count, 3-2. Yasmani Tomas on deck.
Talking about catcher's gear on Joe Garagiola Senior night here at the ballpark. It reminds me of one of the great stories he used to tell all the time, or just a line he used to use. When 2 old catchers shake hands, you need to take a crowbar to pry their hands apart. Fingers are bent the wrong way and knuckles are swollen up. When they shake hands, you need a crowbar to get their hands apart.
3-2 pitch. High fly ball, deep right field, way back and gone. Jake Lamb, that's number 5, and the Diamondbacks take a 5-2 lead. And maybe that's the big hit we've been waiting for to wake everybody up. And we're feasting on tacos tomorrow.
Yeah. Been a long time since we've gotten the taco out. Yes, indeed. Nice going, Jake Lamb.
That was a no-doubter.
Home run foul down that right field line. Waited just a little bit longer on this fastball out over the plate and down, and that ball is way out there in the RampTrucks.com pool area.
Jake Lamb, a triple shy of the cycle. He's 3 for 3. We got tacos and a 5-2 lead. Here's Yasmani Tomas. Second Diamondback homer after Goldie's solo shot back in the first. Sometimes you got to live, Tomas. He drives one out there. Beltran backing up at the track, at the wall. That's off the base of the wall. Yasmani rolls into second with his 10th double.
Not that there's anything wrong with the double, but if he hits this ball a couple feet either direction, he probably gets a home run. It was right out in that notch in the right field bullpen where the fence juts out there a little bit. Yeah, if this ball's just a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, it might sneak over that bullpen fence. Driving that bus.
The major league debut of rookie right-hander Chad Green comes to an end. He's trailing 5-2. Back from Chase Field right after this.
Up that crooked number in this inning. 3 runs in so far on the strength of that Jake Lamb home run. Yasmani Tomas out at second with a double. And fans, you are 2/3 of the way to the fast food trifecta. If the D-backs win this one, you win at Papa John's. The day after every Diamondbacks win, you get 50% off your regular menu price online order at Papa John's. Enter promo code D-backs50 at papajohns.com.
New pitcher for the Yankees, the right-hander out of LSU. It's Nick Goody, called up from AAA Scranton on April 22nd. He's appeared in 5 games for the Yankees and done well, a 1.13 ERA. He'll face Brandon Drury with Yasmani Tomas at second. Still no outs here in the Diamondback 5th. Jake Lamb a 3-run homer. Tomas a double. That chased Chad Green. Now here's Nick Goody. Goody, a 6th-round pick out of LSU by the Yankees in the draft 4 years ago. Brandon Drury coming off a career best 4-hit game yesterday. He's hit safely in 4 straight. Goldie a home run, a solo shot in the first. Jake Lamb a 3-run homer here in the 5th. And the offense has come alive. Fly ball center field for Ellsbury. Tomas at second. He will tag and head for third.
Nice base running there by Yasmani. He saw Jacoby Ellsbury backpedaling on that ball in center field. Raced back to the bag at second, be able to tag up and move up 90 feet. Now Chris Herman, if he can loft a fly ball deep enough to the outfield, could possibly drive in a run without a hit.
Herman singled, stole a base, and scored a run to lead off the second. Came in on Gene Segura's RBI double. That made it 2-0 Diamondbacks at the time. Yankees have come back to tie 2-2, but the Diamondbacks now with 3 in the 5th and bidding for more here. Tomas at third, 1 out. Infield in for the Yankees, and there's strike 1. Boy, Chris, following that 1-for-20 start to the year, hitting just under .370 over his last 13 games. He has really produced. 4 homers, 14 RBIs in those last 13 games. Oh, that one foul, and it's a ball and 2 strikes. Chased a high one.
It's a very small sample size for Nick Goody. This is only the 6th game he's pitched in this season. His other numbers have been very good. However, he's inherited 4 runners. All 4 have scored so far.
He inherited Tomas, who's standing at third base. And Herman putting up a fight here, down 1-2. Boy, he has shown himself to be a really good 2-strike hitter.
Throw out the home runs, which is pretty remarkable. A couple of 0-2 home runs, but just the ability to foul off the tough pitches, be ready to drive the ball if that pitcher makes a mistake in the zone.
I like how he stores his pine tar on the top of his head. Every time he needs to freshen up, he just holds his forehead. Got that thing covered in pine tar.
You see it there on the logo on the front of the helmet on the top.
That'll get the run in. It backs up Ellsbury. He's on the warning track. Here comes Yasmani. And it's 6-2 Diamondbacks. Another RBI for Babe Herman.
Go back to the good base running by Tomas to tag up and advance from second to third on that fly ball to Ellsbury in center field, which allowed him to now score on the Chris Herman fly ball to center field.
Nick Ahmed 0 for 2. Nick has struck out Flino. A 4-run D-backs 5th. This one to right center. Ellsbury giving chase, and it's off the base of the wall. Nick Ahmed pulls into second with his 5th double.
Boy, is that good to see. Nick just hammers that ball. Fastball out over the plate, stayed right on it to that gap in right center field. Looked like it had a chance to get out of here as well. As it is, it short hops the wall out there. Actually hits the wall.
I have that as the D-backs' 6th extra base hit in this ball game, 3 of them in this inning. 5th double for Ahmed, and they will at least clear the pitcher spot here. Robbie Ray, the 8th man to bat in the Arizona 5th. Goldie got it started in the 1st with a solo homer, his 8th of the year. Herman singled, stole 2nd, scored on a Segura double in the 2nd, and now the Diamondbacks have put up 4 in the 5th. Robbie Ray drops that into right center. Here comes Ahmed. He will score, and it's 7-2 Diamondbacks. Robbie Ray driving the bus.
Saying about hitting being contagious. There's an outbreak in that third base dugout right now. Robbie Ray, the pitcher, with a squared up line drive into center field to plate Nick Ahmed.
And he improves to now 1 for 15 career with runners in scoring position. 9th man to bat in the inning, Gene Segura. Diamondbacks have now out-hit the Yankees 10-6. Segura has an RBI double. He's 1 for 3. Both these teams entered this series and this ball game tonight last in their respective divisions. Both teams had struggling offenses, but it was Joe Girardi's Yankees who had shown some life over the weekend. A couple of wins over the White Sox. We know about Chip Hale's struggles, but tonight it's been the Diamondbacks bats who have come alive. One and 2 on Gene Segura. The 2001 World Series reunion. Our thanks again to Joe Torre, Major League Baseball's Chief Baseball Officer, for stopping by. Derek Hall, D-backs President and CEO. Joe Garagiola Jr. expected in our booth at some point too. I believe next half inning we'll have Joe Jr. here. And that'll finish off the inning, but the Diamondbacks send 9 to the plate. They score 5 and take a 7-2 lead. Jake Lamb has a big hit. A 3-run homer on a 3-2 pitch, his 5th of the year. It's 7-2 Diamondbacks.
Bottom half of the fifth to take a 7-2 lead over the Yankees. Hey fans, follow Arizona Diamondbacks baseball live with the MLB.com at Bat app. Stay up to the moment at any moment with game day, live game video highlights, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com at Bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone and tablet.
Well, his title is so long and intimidating. I actually, forgive me, I have to read this. I want to make sure I get it right. Senior Vice President of Standards and On-Field Operations at Major League Baseball. Joe Garagiola Jr. joins us. Nice job today. That was really, really nice.
Thank you. Well, it was a beautiful ceremony. As I said on the other side, there's a lot of love in the building tonight.
There sure was. You could feel it. You can still feel it here, especially
Absolutely.
with the Diamondbacks beating up on the Yankees 7-2 after that big inning.
Yeah.
No wonder Greg Schulte didn't want you to leave the radio booth.
Well, I explained my theory. I explained over there was you guys have so many different uniforms. The players think they're on the road.
That's true.
So it's all working out.
Chase Headley leads off the Yankees 6th against Robbie Ray. I imagine you've talked about your dad a great deal here. Is there a way to summarize what he's meant to you? Obviously, there's the father-son relationship. There's the baseball relationship. There's the Diamondback relationship. There's so many aspects and so many dynamics to that photo.
Yeah. No, I mean, the short answer is no, you can't.
I'm sure.
The longer answer is, as I said tonight, he had a phenomenal life. We had him for 90 years. And what you saw is what you got. I mean, there was no, this is my public side, now this is the private side. He was just a funny, loving, caring friend, father, husband, whatever role he was in, that's who he was.
When you were building the Diamondback teams back in the early days, did he ever get on you and go, what are you thinking there? I mean, I imagine he had some input, or tried to.
I've always said that was the great thing. That, I mean, I never felt like he had to have some sort of vicarious baseball experience through me.
Nice play by Gene Segura there.
So, I mean, he was obviously from the very beginning, from before the beginning, interested, tremendously interested in this because he lived here in Phoenix and he loved the idea that he could go to a ball game every night.
But he let you do it, huh?
Oh yeah,
that's to his great credit. I
Absolutely,
imagine.
yeah. I mean, sure, I would talk about things we were doing or things we were working on, but he was just, in the end, he was a fan, and he told me many times, as I said tonight, that the biggest thrill he ever had in the game in 70 years. Think about deal with that number, huh? So 70 years in the game, the biggest thrill was when we won the World Series that night.
So now you see that up there, and it's going to be up there until this building comes down, whenever that is. Hopefully not for a long, long time. What does that mean?
I'll tell you something, Steve. He passed away in March, and I mean he had been ill, and we knew he wasn't doing well and everything. With all of the tributes and everything that he got. The thing that really got to me and still gets to me is I'll put the game on and I'll see the little Joe patch on everybody's sleeve. Because he loved baseball. He loved talking about baseball. He would, I mean, every conversation during the season would begin with, how'd the Diamondbacks do tonight? Who's pitching? Who pitched tonight? I mean, it was so important to him, and I'm going to miss that.
Well, the logo is special. Fans can get the Joe Garagiola Memorial patch online, dbacks.com/donate. As we try to raise money for a cause very near and dear to Joe, as Aaron Hicks sends Tomas to the track. And this is it. We've had shots of it here, and there's a great explanation of everything that it means on the back of the patch. And if you go to dbacks.com/donate, you can get that patch right there, and you can have your very own. And the proceeds from the patch will benefit the St. Peter Indian Mission, and we had the sisters on earlier. So this is it right here. And if you can donate, dbacks.com/donate, give to the Joe G Fund, you will get this patch, which is on all the coaches and player sleeves right now.
And what was so great about that was generated from the bottom up, meaning the Diamondbacks called us and said, hey, we are getting so many requests. Hundreds of people are texting and calling and saying, we love the patch. We got to get this. How can we get this? Where can we buy it?
Oh, that's great.
And so they said to us, here's our idea. We want to sell it here at the ballpark or make it available, and then the proceeds to go to St. Peter's. What do you think? And we said, absolutely. But I mean, that was, as I say, that was driven from everybody out here.
And that makes it even better.
It sure does.
Thank you so much for being here on,
Thank you,
a
guys.
special day.
No place else I'd rather be.
Open panels open as we honor Joe Garagiola Sr. The Diamondbacks beating up on the Yankees, and fans, spend your Memorial Day weekend with us here at Chase Field. Saturday, May 28th, you'll get the D-backs mesh pool bag courtesy of Mattamy Homes, and on Memorial Day, Monday the 30th, you can pick up the D-backs barbecue apron. That's courtesy of IHOP. Get your tickets at dbacks.com. We've got some very good news to pass along here, as I am told that we have raised over $10,000 at dbacks.com/donate to benefit the St. Peter Indian Mission School. The sisters are here with us tonight, and if you go online, dbacks.com/donate, and purchase one of our Joe patches in honor of Joe Garagiola Sr., we will donate a large portion of those proceeds to the mission, and we have raised so far tonight, still plenty of time to go, more than $10,000. Great job, D-backs fans. Really great job. Michael Bourne leads off the Arizona sixth inning. New pitcher for the Yankees, the right-hander Connor Muley, who was signed to a minor league contract and called up from AAA Scranton on Saturday. This is his major league debut, so they have emptied the pitching staff from the Rail Riders at Scranton Wilkes-Barre. We saw Chad Green make his major league debut earlier, and now here's Connor Muley from St. Peter's College in Jersey City, New Jersey. That's Phil Malika territory, I believe. A 24th round pick by the Yankees in the draft 6 years ago.
Yeah, you think about the Yankees in the situation they're in, and Yankee Stadium and all that entails in front of the home fans. I think it's a good way to break in some young kids, bring them on a road trip away from the eyes of the Yankee fans that are so hypercritical of young players. Let them get their feet wet. Joe Girardi doing a nice job here tonight under tough circumstances, getting a couple young guys in there.
Leadoff walk for Michael Bourne. Here's Goldie. A home run in the first, a solo shot, his 8th of the year. He has also struck out, walked, and scored a run. We got some good minor league pitching news of our own here, BB. We've had a lot of it lately. Archie Bradley was tremendous for Reno. Braden Shipley having a great start tonight for the Aces, who are tied up with Iowa right now, 3-3 in the 7th. Shipley tonight worked 7 innings, gave up 3 runs, 8 hits, and his ERA for the season at Reno, which is a really difficult place to pitch, is 3.35. His 8th start.
Pitching in Reno is a little bit like the Coors Field of the Pacific Coast League. Man, both those pitches were called strikes.
Well, just for the record, Connor Malee is how you pronounce his name, so apologies to Connor. Connor Malee in his major league debut. We have had a cavalcade of stars up here in the booth tonight. Rolling them in and out, all the dignitaries here to honor Joe Garagiola Sr. One and 2 on Goldie. Got him. A walk and a strikeout.
Well, if Joe Sr. were with us tonight, I know what he'd say. Buckethead behind the plate made him swing at that pitch. He called that strike off the plate earlier in the sequence, so Goldie felt like he had to chase it in a 2-strike count, and Joe was fond of the term buckethead. I personally would not use that to refer to an umpire, but Joe did on occasion.
I'd be shocked and appalled if you did. Well, here's Jake Lamb, a triple shy of the cycle, a double in the 1st. He singled in the 3rd and hit a long 3-run homer his last time up in the 5th. Connor Malee started off with a walk and a strikeout, and there's strike 1 to Lamb. This was Lamb's on a 3-2 pitch. Boom. Boom.
That hit off the back wall out there in the RamTrucks.com pool area and ricocheted back on the field.
Boy, they get Jake Lamb's bat going again. That'll go a long way toward helping out what's been a team-wide problem. The offense has been dormant for the last week or so, but it's waking up big time against the Yankees here tonight. 10 hits, 6 of them for extra bases. 1 and 2 now on Lamb.
And just going back to those 4 games in that San Francisco series, the Diamondbacks with runners in scoring position were 4 for 31 in that series. They're 4 for 10 tonight.
Stranded 32 base runners in that 4-game series. Had their chances. Shift is on again against Lamb. The 1-2 pitch. There goes Bourne, who got a big jump. A big time jump, and he's got a stolen base.
That was one of those situations where he had such a big jump he almost stopped. He crosses over here and says, well, wait a minute. Nah, I'll go ahead and go.
Something must be wrong. I have too big a lead. We got a rookie pitcher out there in his big league debut. We got to take advantage. Two balls, 2 strikes. Full count, 3 and 2.
I'm sorry, partner. I was just going to say we're not sure how much playing time Michael Bourne's going to get out there in center field, but you know he's an experienced defensive center fielder. But that aspect of speed, you know, once again, this is a guy that stole 62 bases one season in the major leagues.
Ball 4. So Connor Malee has begun his major league career by going walk, strikeout, walk. 2 on, 1 out for Tomas, who's 2 for 3. He singled and stole a base in the 1st. Doubled and scored in the 5th. Bullpen still quiet for the Yankees. Well, you look at the hit data on Yasmani Tomas, and one thing he's done well this year is spray the ball all over the field. He's hitting almost to each field equally. Left, center, right. He's done a nice job there. Dave Magadan, the hitting coach. Off the fist. Oh, he broke his bat. Gregorius. He'll get one on Lamb, and that's it. Bourne in at third, and Tomas is aboard.
This is hit or be hit. This ball looked like it was going to hit Yasmani Tomas up and in, and just fights it off. A little pop up to the left side. Pretty good awareness right there by Didi Gregorius to get the lead runner at second base. Look where this pitch is. I mean, that's how to hit him in the right arm if he doesn't swing at it.
Yeah. Well, we've seen him do that before. Around the corners, 2 outs for Brandon Drury. Brandon so far 0 for 3 after he had a 4-hit game yesterday against the Giants. Andrew Chafin starting to get loose. He is throwing in the Diamondback bullpen. Yes, he went, says Field and Culbreth. It's a ball and a strike on Brandon Drury. Connor Muley in his major league debut. Sanderson Ford bullpen, the sheriff, Andrew Chafin.
No real sense of urgency out there. I think he's getting ready just in case the Diamondbacks happen to get down to Robbie Ray's spot in this inning with a chance to tack on some more runs.
Brandon is hitting 6th tonight. The pitcher Ray batting 9th. And Drury with 15 hits in his last 10 games. Got a 2-out RBI opportunity right here.
Tailing fastball running inside. Oh man, right on the left elbow. Ouch.
Ryan DePanfilo going to come out and have a look. Larry Rothschild will pay a mound visit as Drury takes his base. Got him right there on the elbow, left elbow.
I mentioned this before on telecast. Everybody's bumped their crazy bone on one time or another. You know, you lean back in a chair and hit that spot on your arm where that nerve just fires down your arm. Your fingers tingle. Imagine doing it at 94 miles an hour.
No thanks.
You lose all feeling in your hand momentarily. You wonder if your arm fell off. And eventually it starts to come back and start to get a little range of motion back in there again, and hopefully no damage done.
So they're loaded with 2 outs for Chris Herman, who has singled, scored a run. He's also knocked in a run with a sacrifice fly his last time up. Michael Bourne is at third. Yasmani Tomas at second. Brandon Drury at first. One and one.
mentioned the 0-2 home runs for Chris Herman. I mean, this is a guy that, you look at the stat sheet, 15 RBIs on the season. He's had 60 at bats. That's very efficient.
Been driving him in bunches lately. 14 RBIs in his last 13 games, and he's got one more RBI tonight. 2-2. Full count. Muley's already walked 2 in the inning. Comment on deck. Three-two, 2 outs. Here it is. Ball 4. 8-2 Diamondbacks. Another RBI for Herman. So Nick Ahmed will hit with the bases loaded. Nick doubled and scored his last time up. Belted one to deep right center.
Always easy to get in that batter's box and dig in and be aggressive against a guy that's already hit one batter. He's walked in a run, spraying the ball all over the place. You'd like to stay in that box and be aggressive, hoping to throw you something in the strike zone you can put a good swing on. But he might throw one behind your head at the same time.
Phil Coke warming up in the Yankee bullpen. The 0-1 to Ahmed. It skips away from Romine. Tomas will stay put. Mary Rothschild watching the pitching staff from Scranton Wilkes-Barre work here tonight. That can't be fun. 2 guys making their major league debuts have pitched so far. Been watching Tomas.
Just talking about it. This guy's all over the place. You'd like to be aggressive and get a good pitch and drive in some runs in this situation. That's a backup slider. Almost in self-defense. Once again, Nick just gets a piece of that and fouls it straight back. Man.
The Diamondbacks tack on one more. We'll head to the 7th at Chase Field. D-backs lead the Yankees 8-2. D-backs lead the Yankees 8-2, and fans get to any game this season here at Chase Field with a D-backs value pack. The value pack includes a lower level bleacher ticket, a Subway sandwich, and a Pepsi, all for only $25. And it's available for every game at dbacks.com/value. Robbie Ray, who had pitched past the 5th inning only once in his last 4 starts, is out there to start the 7th. And exactly 100 pitches, 64 for strikes. He has retired the last 6 Yankees he has faced. He's got an 8-2 lead. He'll work to the catcher Austin Romine to lead off the Yankees 7th. Pitcher spot is due up next for New York, and Dustin Ackley is in the on-deck circle. He'll hit for the pitcher. Been slow going for Robbie lately. He went at least 6 full innings in each of his first 3 regular season starts and looked very good. Pitch counts were under control. Even though he walked 9 in his first 2 outings, there's a tapper over the mound. Segura with a shift on is there, and they retire Romine. He worked 6 scoreless innings and a win at San Francisco. That was his only win this year, but since then, which has been since April 19th, Robbie 0-2 in 4 starts, a 7.94 ERA. And he has completed the minimum 5 innings only 1 time. But tonight, Bob, a big step forward. That's now 7 straight he's retired.
Yeah, absolutely, and really showed some resilience getting out of that jam in the 4th inning, giving up only the 1 run. A double, a single, then got a fly ball to center, a fly ball to short. He intentionally walked the 8-hitter and then struck out the opposing pitcher. So a nice job of damage control to avoid that 1 big inning that has really hurt Robbie this year.
Dustin Ackley hits for the pitcher, the former Seattle Mariner. Ackley just 5 for 40 at the plate this year without an extra base hit. It's a thin American League bench back there. You got A-Rod on the DL, so you have to send the lefty Ackley in there to pinch hit against the lefty Ray. There's a bouncer in the hole. Jake Lamb in front of Abe. 2 down. Well, fans have done a tremendous job tonight as we raise money for a cause very near and dear to Joe Garagiola Sr. and Jr. for that matter. The St. Peter's Indian Mission. Diamondback fans have raised over $10,000 so far tonight. And every dollar donated, fans, tonight is being matched by the Arizona Diamondbacks Foundation. So a tremendous job by all our fans. Keep them coming. dbacks.com/donate. And all the money goes directly to Joe Garagiola's beloved St. Peter's Indian Mission.
Nicely done, fans. And nicely done, Diamondbacks.
Jacoby Ellsbury tripled and scored his last time up.
We talked to Derek Hall about it earlier in the ballgame. That's one of the coolest patches I've ever seen. And you know, every team does something to honor members of the organizations that have passed on or they've lost in some manner or form, but those are really cool. With the catcher's mask as part of the O.
And it will hang forever here at Chase Field. High above left field out there. That was unveiled today as part of our pregame ceremony. 0-2 on Jacoby Ellsbury. All donations go directly to the St. Peter's Indian Mission. Every dollar donated being matched by the Arizona Diamondbacks Foundation. dbacks.com/donate.
Robbie's still throwing very hard. A little extra on that fastball at 96.
Well, he had a no decision his last time out. That was last Wednesday at Coors Field. He needed 112 pitches and lasted less than 5 innings. So quite a contrast here tonight. Had 9 strikeouts but couldn't get out of the 5th. And now he goes all the way through 7. Robbie Ray has retired the last 9 Yankees he has faced. He leads at 8-2. D-backs lead the Yankees 8-2. It's been a difficult day for Tiger skipper Brad Ausmus. Earlier today, he got into it with a reporter and said, I get it. I'm on the hot seat. I might get fired. We're done talking about it. And then he went out there in their game tonight and put on a show. He snapped twice during a very lengthy pregame media session before the game today and said, you're beating a dead horse. I get it. I might get fired. He went out and did that. Now you, on the other hand, partner Bob Brenly, you have had your moments with C.B. Bucknor earlier as well. He's working the plate here tonight.
Yeah, well.
What's happening here?
I was just defending my pitcher, Curt Schilling, and that bucket slipped out of my hand as I went down the steps.
That's all. You were just trying to move it. CB had a lot more hair then. I've noticed that as well.
Strike zone was the same.
Phil Gosselin will hit for Robbie Ray. New pitcher for the Yankees, the veteran lefty Phil Koch. So put 5 gold stars next to this ball game because Diamondback fans have been looking for the offense to wake up. They've been looking for Robbie Ray to catch up to everyone else who's made progress in that rotation, and Robbie tonight was sensational. Phil Gosselin hard to short. Didi Gregorius kicks it. Gosselin's aboard.
Appeared to be a fairly routine play. That last hop came up just a little bit, caught Didi Gregorius in the heel of the glove, and gets far enough away for Phil Gosselin to lead off the inning by reaching on the E6.
Gene Segura on RBI double. He's 1 for 4. Boy, Diamondback hitters have had to be on their toes all night long here. Phil Koch, it's been a struggle for him. He was just called up from AAA Scranton earlier this month.
Ooh, slider catches him on the outside of that left knee. Man, you don't mind getting hit in the thigh area, a lot of muscle there. Don't mind getting hit down in the calf area. There's a lot of muscle there, but boy, you get hit right on that knee joint. It's just all bone.
Brandon Drury took one right on the elbow in the previous inning. And now Segura gets one on the knee. Here's Michael Bourne, who has reached on an error, walked, stolen a base, and scored twice. He started in center field tonight. Slaps one the other way. That'll drop in front of Hicks out there. The bases are full of Diamondbacks with nobody out to open up the 7th, and Goldie is coming in.
Michael Bourne's approach throughout this game has been to hit the ball to the opposite field. Flied out to left field twice, once on a well hit ball, this time right off the end of the bat, dunks it out there in front of Aaron Hicks to load him up for Goldie.
Goldie homered in the 1st, walked and scored in the 5th, 1 for 3. Well, he's been up there hacking at that first pitch a lot more often lately. They have wanted him aggressive in the strike zone, and he's been aggressive early in the count. He had a home run on the first pitch tonight in his first at bat off the rookie Chad Green. Big crowd here tonight. Roof and panels open. 1st of 3 against the New York Yankees. Zach Greinke on the mound tomorrow night here against Michael Pineda. Shelby Miller and Nathan Eovaldi Wednesday. 1-1 on Goldie. Bases full, nobody out. A tapper. Gregorius for 1. They turn 2. Gosselin scores. 9-2 D-backs. bring up Jake Lamb, who has reached base safely all 4 times he's been up there. He's a triple shy of the cycle. Doubled in the first, singled in the third, a 3-run homer in the 5th. He walked his last time up. Yankees shade their infield toward the right-hand side. Gregorius, the shortstop, almost directly behind the second base bag. Segura, the runner at third, and 2 outs. One and two.
Every pitcher has something a little different they do out there on the mound. Watch Phil Koch shrug his shoulders as he comes to a set position before the next pitch. Slider off the plate away that time. Momine can't handle it. He gets a sign from his catcher. He comes up in a set position, and it's almost like he's going, whatever. Just kind of shrugging his shoulders.
Forget about it. That was your Valley Honda dealer
Forget
key to the
about
game. He
it.
seems to be saying that. Andrew Chafin still throwing in the Diamondback bullpen. Randall Delgado down there as well. Called strike 3. Phil Koch rings up Jake Lamb. But the Diamondbacks add one more. We go to the 8th. They lead the Yankees 9-2. Presented by Cox. Maybe the best start this year for Robbie Ray, who went 7, retired the last 9 he faced.
Certainly the most efficient, and I really love the last pitch of the ball game for Robbie Ray against Jacoby Ellsbury. I mean, a big Nolan Ryan-like grunt as he fired that ball by Jacoby Ellsbury, who had tripled and scored back in that 5th inning.
He walked only 1. It was intentional. He struck out 6. And he gives way to the new pitcher for the Diamondbacks, your Arizona Federal Credit Union pitching change. It's the Sheriff, Andrew Chafin. 18 appearances. The ERA just a smidge over 5.5. Andrew worked a pair of scoreless innings in the first 2 games of the Giants series. He'll work to Starlin Castro, Mark Teixeira, and Carlos Beltran. 2, 3, and 4, the Yankee 8th. Zach Greinke will go tomorrow. Shelby Miller Wednesday. Castro so far 0 for 3. Well, hopefully this starts another streak. The Diamondbacks have been more than a little streaky lately. 6 straight losses were followed by 5 straight wins, followed by 5 straight losses. So for Chip Hale, maybe his ball club will get on a roll here.
I'm getting car sick just thinking about that.
It's been a little up and down. 0-2. Can't hold up. Yes, he went, says Field and Culbert. And that's a strikeout for Andrew Chafin.
That's been the book on Starlin Castro since he made it to the big leagues. As you get a look at what you were talking about, outscored 35-12, going 0-6, and then they outscored the opposition 31-13, going 5-0, and now we're back on the other side of the coin. Although the score's not quite as lopsided over the recent losing streak.
Mark Teixeira.
I was just saying about Starlin Castro. That's been the book on him since he got to the major leagues. You don't have to throw him a strike to get him out. He can hit balls out of the strike zone. He's a real good bad ball hitter. I mentioned earlier, not always solid contact, but he will chase.
Teixeira is trying to get it figured out. He homered 3 times in his first 7 games this year, but hasn't hit a home run since April 13th. It's been more than a month. He's only 3 shy of 400. Says he's really no reason he should be struggling like this. He's been hitting too many ground balls, soft line drives. He's hit the ball hard twice tonight, a single and a double. He's 2 for 3. He's a natural right-hand hitter. He believes that side's a lot closer to coming back for him. 2-2.
This guy's been a good player and a good hitter for a long time. It's mind-boggling to think of the numbers he might have been able to put up had he been able to stay healthy.
It's this one under the glove of Segura through the shift. Teixeira's 3rd hit tonight. Yeah, his 14th season in the big leagues. Mark Teixeira, 1st round pick by the Rangers back in 01. He was the 5th overall selection that year out of Georgia Tech.
Yeah, that ball actually just snuck underneath the glove of Gene Segura as he tried to sprawl out there to his right and make that stop.
Carlos Beltran. This is another guy. When you look at the accumulation of everything he's done, you're looking here at very likely a Hall of Fame player. When you look at the numbers, they are there. 19 years in the big leagues. Came up with the Royals. He was American League Rookie of the Year back in '99. A sensational half a season in Houston. He parlayed that into a big contract with the Mets. Put up some big numbers in New York. Took him to a World Series. 8 All-Star games, 3 Gold Gloves. The 3rd, Jake Lamb. Gene Segura. Beltran doesn't run fast anymore. They turn it around the horn double play. And Chafin's out of the 8th. Diamondbacks lead the Yankees 9-2.
Diamondbacks offense, runners in scoring position, went on and on and on. Is there something you'd like to talk about on the postgame show tonight?
Well, they didn't have any problem tonight, Todd, but we'll look back at that 5th inning, how they really took care of business, especially those Yankee mistakes.
You were ornery, that's for sure. All right, plenty of baseball left, but when it's all done, keep it right here. Diamondbacks Live, the postgame show. For now, though, let's send it back to Steve and Bob.
Well, I think in fairness to Joe, everybody's been a little ornery. It was a tough series against the Giants. Lots of chances, but everybody full of love for Joe Garagiola, senior and junior, here today as we honor Joe Sr. In the hearts and minds of everybody here at the ballpark today. Big crowd, more than 32,000 to watch our pregame ceremony honoring Joe G. My partner Bob Brenly was part of that, along with Joe Torre and Lindsey Berra, Yogi's granddaughter. Really nice job by everybody involved there. As Monty Tolas leads off the 8th against Phil Koch. Didi Gregorius. Well, we've seen Didi do that here before.
Certainly not to take anything away from Didi, because he is a spectacular defensive shortstop. But watching Nick Ahmed every day, maybe a little better.
You know, it's funny, when Didi was here playing with the Diamondbacks and he was doing his thing, which was at times spectacular, we always heard from the Diamondback front office and the scouts and the coaches, well, yeah, he's great, but we got another guy that's pretty good too, this Ahmed kid. Drury off the base of the wall in the right field corner, and Brandon Drury, not to be denied, overruns the bag at second, and now they got him hung up. Well, thankfully it's a 9-2 ball game. Drury going to get credit for his 10th double, but he gets himself thrown out there.
Well, he saw Carlos Beltran very casually going after that ball down in the right field corner, and decides, I'm going to go ahead and turn and take a look at third base. Unfortunately, they throw right behind him to Didi Gregorius, who initiates that run down, and Brandon Drury's tagged out.
So you score that, a double for Drury, 9-6-5 on the putout. 2 down now for Chris Herman. Yeah, we'd always heard about Nick Ahmed. Obviously, don't get to see him much when he was at Reno, but they were right. He is special. Chris Herman off the mound into center. The Babe is at it again. He's got 2 hits and 2 RBIs tonight. Dave Herman.
I hate it when they say, boy, it's a nice problem for a manager to have. No problems are nice to have, yeah. But you know, Chips had to find a place to put Brandon Drury in there. How do you get Brandon Drury in the lineup the way he's swinging the bat? Well, Chris Herman is starting to become that guy too, especially given the fact he swings from the left side of the plate, balances out that lineup a little bit. And we know he's versatile. We've seen him play in right field. We've seen him play in center field. We've seen him behind the plate.
Look at him. This kid is he is hardwired for baseball, and you can tell right there how much is bothering him that he got himself thrown out. Look at that. Look at that face. He is a baseball gym rat, and that's killing him, I guarantee you. If you sit and talk with that young man and talk about baseball and what he's been through and hitting, and look at him playing in the Southern League and everything he's been through. You love the makeup, and that's a good reason why right there.
Yeah, and I don't think any of that is selfish. Boy, I was stupid. I did something stupid. I let the team down. I should have just stopped at second base. I was already in scoring position. You know, we have a big lead in the ball game. Just be content to be in scoring position. Set it up for Chris Herman and Nick Ahmed hitting behind me.
It's a 9-2 game in the 8th inning. Some guys might be in there go, oh well, my bad.
Yeah.
Hey, we're winning, but not Brandon Drury. He's going to think about that all night, I guarantee it. But to your point, Bob, a team struggling for offense, sooner or later, if you get guys like Drury, he hasn't stopped hitting since he's been in there, and Chris Herman now, that competitive situation is going to come up again, and the guys that aren't hitting, they might find themselves on the bench. Nick Ahmed, rises to the challenge. Over the glove of Hicks. Here comes Herman. They're going to wave him home. Ahmed's in at second, and it's 10-2 Diamondbacks. Second double tonight for Nick Ahmed. And how about that Superman slide coming home by Babe Herman?
This is starting to feel a lot like Salt River Fields back in March. This is the way the Diamondbacks swung the bat all spring long. Everybody just squaring up pitch after pitch after pitch. Line drives in the gap. Hard ground balls through the infield. Balls hit over the outfielder's head. This is really good to see. Unnecessary, but really cool, Chris.
10 runs on 14 hits. Pitcher spot is up. Here's Ricky Weeks Jr. How about the Diamondbacks? And what going into the bottom of the fifth was a 2-2 ball game. There's Brandon Drury. He's not so wrapped up in his own mistake. He's not there to greet his teammate. It was 2-2 bottom five. Diamondbacks got 5 in the fifth, 1 in the sixth, 1 in the seventh. Now 1 more here in the eighth. I've just been handed a stat by our moderately reliable staff. Increasingly reliable. Last 7 home games, Diamondbacks scored 12 runs. They put up 10 tonight. One and two. Looks like Randall Delgado will get the 9th inning. Randall is ready. He stopped throwing down there. He was warming up earlier. Not a good start to a road trip for Joe Girardi. They're on a 7-game Western swing. They'll play 3 here, then 4 in Oakland against the Athletics. Haven't seen Goldie smile like that in a while.
Not for a while.
1 and 2 on Ricky Weeks Jr. 2 outs and Ahmed at second. Matt Williams. Oh, he's still got the hot hands down there.
I don't need no stinking glove. He's fairly close to home plate there. You can see where he is. Just reaches out with that left hand like he did so many times when he was standing in fair territory.
Two and two. Great to have such a big crowd here with us tonight. 2 more games in this series against the Yankees fans. dbacks.com/tickets. Zach Greinke on the mound tomorrow night against Michael Pineda. Shelby Miller Wednesday against Nate Eovaldi. We were able to open up the roof and panels tonight. Great night to be at the ballpark. 2 more coming. Missed upstairs. Full count 3 and 2. Ball 4. 2 on and 2 out for Segura. What's next? Brought to you by CenturyLink. Pitching matchup tomorrow. Zach Greinke on the mound for the Diamondbacks, and big Michael Pineda for the Yankees, who's not won since his first start this year. 6:40 first pitch. Diamondback Live pregame show comes your way at 6 o'clock on Fox Sports Arizona. 2 on 2 out for Segura. He was hit by a pitch his last time up, had an RBI double back in the second. It's this up in the air, deep right center field. Way back, it's off the top of the wall. Ahmed scores. Ricky Weeks scores, and Segura's in at third. 12-2 D-backs. Just missed a home run.
Third fastball barreled up. And I mean, we've seen as many hard hit balls in this ball game tonight as we've seen in the last couple of weeks put together. Everybody's squaring it up.
Is a game like this, does it change everything? Now, obviously, anything can happen tomorrow night, but is this the one that you've been looking for?
Well, you certainly hope so. I mean, I'm a big believer in feel. Guys that are slumping at the plate, sometimes all it takes is that one line drive to remember what it feels like to be on time on a guy's fastball. Or in the case of Robbie Ray, a pitcher on the mound, sometimes all it takes is getting yourself out of that one jam, making that one big pitch, and suddenly it all comes back. And you know, like I said earlier, this looks like a spring training game over at Salt River Fields, the way we saw them hammer the ball all spring long, up and down the lineup.
Led the majors in hits and runs, the whole thing. Three more runs here in the 8th inning. Michael Bourne had a productive night, reached on an error and scored in the 5th. Walk, stole a base, scored in the 6th. Singled his last time up in the 7th. Teixeira. Diamondbacks add 3 more. We go to the 9th inning. They lead the Yankees 12-2. Diamondbacks offense has come alive. 12 runs on 15 hits. Home runs by Goldie and Jake Lamb. Robbie Ray, his best start this year. He went 7 innings. Struck out 6, walked only 1. It was intentional, and retired the last 9 he faced. And fans, it's our last chance to remind you and ask you to go to dbacks.com/donate. All donations go directly in the memory of Joe Garagiola Sr. to his beloved St. Peter's Indian Mission, and every dollar donated is being matched by the Arizona Diamondbacks Foundation. We are already over $10,000 for the sisters to help out the St. Peter's Indian Mission, and you can participate by going to dbacks.com/donate. New pitcher for the Diamondbacks, the right-hander Randall Delgado. All that in the memory of Joe Garagiola Sr., who was honored before the ball game today. Chase Headley leads off the 9th inning. Randall 18 appearances and 21 innings of work. He worked the scoreless inning Friday against the Giants his last time out. Diamondbacks 12 runs. That's their most since they beat the Cardinals 12-7 on April 25th. It's been almost a month. 1-2 on Chase Headley. Joe Borowski and Todd Wall standing by. Diamondback Live post-game show right after our ball game. That should be the most upbeat post-game show in a while here.
Well, unlike some of the post-game shows recently where you had to kind of search for something positive, there's a lot of good things happened here tonight.
Randall Delgado strikes out Headley. If you had to pick one, what would your selection be? Anything you want. Dealer's choice.
For me, Robbie Ray.
How so?
Well, you got to have starting pitching. If you have any chance of competing in your division and looking forward to possible postseason appearances, you need to have starting pitching every day. And that was a great outing by Robbie tonight. Just continues to make steps in the right direction. If he could just find a way to repeat those mechanics and repeat that performance, the Diamondbacks are going to be just fine. We've seen Ruby De La Rosa come a long way in a short period of time this year. Zach Greinke starting to look like he's turning into Zach Greinke again. Shelby Miller with a couple of positive outings in a row. Starting to come around.
Patrick Corbin has looked good lately. Greinke tomorrow night, Miller on Wednesday. dbacks.com/tickets fans. 2 more against the Yankees, so come on out to the ballpark. While we can still keep everything open up, roof and panels. It's a day-to-day decision at this point, but it's nice to have everything open here tonight. A beautiful night to watch the Diamondbacks. 1-2 on Aaron Hicks.
It'll probably be a little different look to the Yankees lineup tomorrow. You'll probably see Brian McCann back in there, Brett Gardner, some of the players that we haven't seen here tonight with Robbie Ray, the lefty, starting for the Diamondbacks.
Rob Thompson, the bench coach. Joe Girardi, the skipper, on the left there. Zach Greinke smiling, thinking about getting this kind of run support tomorrow night.
That'll make any pitcher smile.
Well, we want to give a big shout out and an MVP award to all the Diamondback fans out there who logged on and donated to help out the St. Peter's Indian Mission. A great job by all the Diamondbacks fans. dbacks.com/donate. You can still go there and help out, and every dollar donated is being matched by the Arizona Diamondbacks Foundation. Blasted up the middle by a diving Ahmed and into center. Hicks. That's his first hit tonight. Boy, Nick really got airborne that time.
Yeah, really came down hard as well. He was fully extended trying to snare that line drive. Didn't look like he protected himself as he crashed to the ground out there. And maybe he got his hand down just in time. Absorbed some of that blow. That's the way you get the wind knocked out of you right there.
Didi Gregorius. Didi singled in the second. He's 1 for 3. Didi had a good year his first season in New York last year. Hit .265, 9 home runs. Played 155 games. Actually got off to a slow start with the Yankees last year, but really picked it up. He hit over .290 after the All-Star break last season. I think he's in a good spot. That ballpark, obviously a perfect fit. Left-hand hitter, but at the same time, given the way the Yankee fans, justifiably so, revere Derek Jeter, I don't think anyone was under the impression that he was going to be replacing Derek Jeter or be the next Derek Jeter. I think he gets a free pass on that from Yankee fans. They don't expect that kind of thing from him.
Well, and if you think about the tail end of Derek Jeter's fantastic Hall of Fame career, his range was really limited those last couple or 3 years, and Didi Gregorius comes in to take that spot at shortstop, and this is a guy that can cover the entire left side of the infield by himself. So that had to be a huge upgrade in the minds of a lot of Yankee fans defensively alone.
And if you followed it last year, I don't think the expectation was there. I think everybody gave Didi a break on that, which had to help him, I'm sure.
Well, there's only one Derek Jeter. You may play the same position immediately after the guy retires, but you're still going to be who you are.
Second strikeout for Randall Delgado. Austin Romine now, last man standing for the Yankees. Diamondback Live post-game show coming up next on Fox Sports Arizona. Joe Borowski and Todd Walsh are standing by.
Speaking of Derek Jeter, what a great representative of the Yankees organization. Over their history, they've had some flakes and they've had some egotistical players.
No, really?
Yeah, they've had a few whack jobs, but then you get Derek Jeter, who is so well spoken. I mean, obviously a great player, but just handles himself so well in front of the public, in front of the media. The team spokesman always says and does the right things. Sets a great example for the young players coming up to the major leagues. They were very fortunate to have a guy like Derek Jeter for as long as they did.
And if you have a model for that, the Diamondbacks have their own guy. I see so many similarities with the way Jeter handled himself with the media, the way he conducted himself on and off the field, all the good points you just made. It's the blueprint that Goldie is following here.
Absolutely.
I think Joe Borowski has done a good job of containing himself. I mean, he's from Bayonne, New Jersey. He's a Jersey guy, Joe. So he had to grow up with a sort of a Yankee influence there. Of course, he was a former Yankee himself. 1-2, 2 outs. D-backs about to snap that 5-game losing streak. Come on, CB. Ready to close this one out in style. Got him. Diamondbacks beat the Yankees 12-2. That 5-game losing streak comes to an end. 12 runs on 15 hits. The offense came through big time, and Robbie Ray was terrific.
Yeah, hopefully this is that deep breath that the Diamondbacks have been waiting for a long time, both offensively and on the mound tonight. Great performances all around.
Well, let's send it off to the pride of Bayonne. Joe Borowski standing by with Todd Walsh. Todd.
That's Chuck Wepner. That's the Bayonne bleeder. This is 1A. All right, Joe, so here's the deal. We're getting set for Diamondbacks Live, the post-game show. There really is only one way to celebrate a night like we had tonight for Joe Garagiola, right? You gotta go away with a win, right?
Absolutely. You had to love every aspect of the Diamondbacks game tonight. Pitching, defense, hitting. It was great.
But we will zero in on the big inning and the chain and the train and everything just kept moving along, man. I loved it. Loved to watch it. All right, we'll flash back to the pregame ceremony for Joe. What a night it was. We dedicated our broadcast to Joe Garagiola. And when we come back, Diamondbacks Live presented by CenturyLink. We'll look at the Diamondbacks' victory over the New York Yankees, snapping a 5-game losing streak in the process. Stick around. So much more to come from Chase Field on this Monday night. Don't you wish you were here